is with us now. Coach, first and foremost, welcome in. I know it's only been a couple of months. How have you approached the process so far?
You know, we just started building culture, building relationships, investing in the current student athletes, and then obviously recruiting real hard to fill out the roster for the fall season.
So let's start then with recruiting. What has been your recruiting philosophy? It worked at Grand Canyon. What will your recruiting philosophy be with Northwestern?
You know, Northwestern is such a unique institution. I think you have to have a unique approach. You know, we're a top 10 academic school in the entire country, competing in the Big Ten, the best volleyball conference in the country. So we're looking for excellence on both ends of the spectrum. And I think we're able to showcase that and go out and chase those individuals who are looking for that.
Obviously, I know there are a lot of differences, but a lot of coaches will also tell you winning volleyball is winning volleyball, no matter which conference you're playing in, no matter who's on the opposite side of the net. So what do you feel like worked at Grand Canyon that can be applied to your time with Northwestern?
Well, I think it's the investing in the student athletes. I think that's the biggest thing. You know, volleyball is volleyball, absolutely. The Big Ten is just bigger and faster and stronger. I understand it. I understand the level, you know, coaching in Power 5 conferences before. And again, we're just going to invest in the student athletes we have, and we're going to give them a world-class experience in a world-class city.
New program, new roster, new look for the conference with 18 schools. It's a lot. How do you kind of avoid being overwhelmed and take this job day by day?
You know, you can easily get lost in the weeds if you try to, but I think having a really great staff keeping me on point and, you know, incredible student athletes that show up every day willing to work and ready to get after it has helped a lot.
You do have a unique perspective on the incoming schools. You mentioned your time as a D1 assistant at USC as well. What does USC and the other 3 schools and their addition mean to this league that I know you've watched from afar as one of the best in the country, if not the best, before these schools joined on August the 2nd?
Yeah, you know, I think the addition of the 4 new schools is just going to give a little bit of fresh air to the conference. They approach volleyball a little bit differently. They have some unique styles, just how they play the game. But I think it's going to open up recruiting grounds, allowing you know, the Big Ten current members to chase after some of the talent that's maybe a little more on the West Coast.
Let's dive into that a little bit. Compare and contrast the styles. Where are the differences to be seen?
I just think they're a little bit more outside the box thinkers. You know, Matt up at Oregon does a really nice job, really offensive based. USC, UCLA play a little different style of the game. Serve and pass based. I just think that they approach it differently, so you're going to have to prep differently for them every night.
Your non-con isn't exactly a breeze before we even worry about getting into the league schedule. You have that UNLV tournament, which has UNLV and Pacific. I know you have Notre Dame in the non-con. You have Long Beach as well. How quickly do you think you'll be able to assess what's possible from this particular roster? You
know, you're hoping to assess it after that opening weekend. I mean, the goal for us is never going to change. Our goal is the NCAA tournament, hands down. That's going to be the goal every year, and it's going to get steeper from there. But I think this year we've got to establish some of our systems and really see what some of our personnel and how they mesh together as we bring in a lot of new faces. So you're hoping to use, you know, the non-conference to do that before you get into the rigors of Big Ten play.
We were joking a little bit before we started the interview about the Big Ten schedule, that you look at it as a whole and you say, wow, as a coach, this is really cool. And then you look at it again and you think to yourself, what on earth have I gotten myself into?
100%. You know, amazing conference. You look at it top to bottom, full of talent, full of elite coaches, full of great minds, full of incredible student athletes. And you're like, okay, let's start circling the, you know, we should have this. And you're like, wow, there's not a gimme on this entire schedule. And that, I think it's exciting. But then again, as you say, it's like, wow, what have we done? But it's why you're in it. You know, I coach volleyball because I love it. I love the game. I love pouring into student athletes. And I think coaching at the highest level, the Big Ten, is where you want to be.
Your schedule also includes some amazing home matches at Welsh Ryan. Early, you have Wisconsin, you have Purdue, you also have Nebraska. Late in the year, USC comes to Evanston. How excited are you to present this volleyball team and the opposition that it will face to the home fans in Evanston?
Incredibly excited. You know, we have a great student fan base. The community really comes out to support as well. And, you know, Welsh Ryan, I think, is one of the best venues in the league, and I can't wait to showcase it, you know, to all the schools coming in.
I know your players are fired up for that. We'll hear from some of those players in just a bit. Let's touch on those players. Alexa Rousseau is here for a second consecutive year. She was a star at our media days last year. I'm sure she'll do so in a minute or two, following up in 2024. What does she mean to your program?
You know, she's the rock, right? She's been there. She's been the leader on the court for years. And, you know, her coming back for this final season is just giving us a little bit of stability and understanding and leadership and guidance, and you know, I expect her to dominate on the court as much as she's going to dominate this media day today. That's
a lot of pressure. Alexa standing by and listening to this as we watch her highlights. What do you like about her skill set?
You know, she's versatile. She's a dual threat. She can attack on two. She sets tempo really well. She's not a liability at the net blocking. She can kind of do the whole thing. She's got a great serve. So you look at her to help us score points, right? You can only score points in three ways: serving, blocking, attacking, and she can do it all.
Kennedy Hill is here as well. We'll hear from her in a second. Solid middle blocker last season, kind of on the upward trajectory of her career. What do you expect in 2024?
I'm looking for her to have a breakout season. She had a great spring with us, worked on some things, her versatility, finding different ways to score, different sets for her to score on, you know, use her quick first step to her advantage, and she really had a breakout spring, so I'm looking for her to make some big waves.
And we're looking at some of her highlights as well. This is a team where you're going to have to rely on a lot of different players. How important will it be for you, night in and night out, with this schedule to get contributions from not just the known players right now, but those fringe players, all the contributors coming in to make one team as good as it can possibly be?
It's going to be really important. You know, to have success in the Big Ten, you're going to have to find ways to be creative and problem solving. You're going to have to use your roster. So people are going to have to step into roles and contribute in the spots they have opportunities to. And, you know, I think every night we're going to see someone else step up in a big moment to help propel us to success.
Style can be determined not just by a coach's philosophy, but obviously by rosters, and you inherit a roster. So what has your style been from a coaching perspective, and how will that apply to the roster that you currently have in 2024?
Stylistically, we want to serve really tough, and we want to play elite transition volleyball and present ourselves with good scoring opportunities. We worked on that a lot in the spring. They do have some great pieces that fit into that really well. And I think we're going to work a little bit more on defense in the sense that we know the Big Ten is going to have elite attackers coming at us. We have to find ways to keep the volleyball off the floor.
What do the next 24-plus days look like for you and this team between now and the season opener?
Fun. You know, it's going to be building relationships. It's going to be playing some volleyball. It's going to be learning about each other. But again, it's not just volleyball that's going to make a team successful. It's that bond they have and that unity with each other. So we have to help authentically grow that in this time period.
From a big picture perspective, we've seen the popularity of this sport reach levels that I think a lot of folks inside the sport never believed it would reach. What's it been like to be a part of that from the coaches' sidelines?
It's been incredible to watch. You know, women's volleyball is a really, really great sport. It does so many things well. You know, if you just look at all the celebrating, the positive moments that it has, to showcase that to the world and to watch, you know, the U.S. in general catch on to that and see how amazing the sport can be has been fantastic. And I'm only looking forward to get to new heights.
Yeah, we've seen it really manifest itself in the participation at youth levels. So to follow up on that, how much room is there in your estimation for this sport to continue to grow? I believe now it's become our third highest rated sport here on the Big Ten Network, behind only football and men's basketball.
I think it's still got a lot of room to grow, quite honestly. You know, there's always an uptick in ratings and viewership after the Olympics. Obviously, we're in the Olympics right now, so I look for an uptick this fall. But I still think it's catching on with youth groups. You know, I have 3 young kids, and watching them and all their friends and peer groups who are interested in playing, I just think there's so much more growth to have.
I'd be remiss not to ask a little bit about some of what's been going on in the NCAA and the big picture. Obviously, the transfer portal has affected everyone's program over the last couple of years. Now revenue sharing comes into the pool, and some are calling it pay for play. We don't know exactly what it will be, but as a coach who's worried about recruiting and trying to win every Friday and Saturday, how do you also balance those elements, which are continuing to change, not just month by month, but really day by day?
Well, I think you have to have a really great team around you. from sports administrators to assistants, to help you stay in the know. Because as you say, we don't really know all the details on what's happening. So just having a really creative team that's going to be solution-oriented, not focusing on problems or what about this or what about this, but hey, here's some options, here's some choices we can make. Let's take advantage of it. And then again, I feel really fortunate to be at a university where the education is a really big deal. And I think that's going to be a great equalizer for us is, you know, we have a world-class degree to offer out that you can earn and have that for the rest of your life. And I think that's a really big piece for us.
All right, finally, Tim, let's finish here. When 2024 comes to a close for Northwestern volleyball, what will make it a success in your estimation?
Going to the NCAA tournament. Again, that goal will not change. I think there's lots of small things we have to do on the way. But I think we also have to build a base and a foundation for this program's success in the future, and that's going to come down to team culture. It's going to come down to giving back and community relations, succeeding in the classroom. There's going to be lots of elements that go into it, but the end goal is we want to compete in the NCAA tournament and show the country how good Northwestern can be.
Tim Nollan getting set to start year one with the Wildcats. Coach, truly appreciate the time. Best of luck to you and the team.
Thank you.
Tim and I touched a little bit on the schedule, focused on the non-con and some of those home games. Now you get a visual look. It's Notre Dame, early September. How about Wisconsin and Purdue within a week, both at home, late September and early October? That Nebraska match also at home on the 3rd. I know a couple of the players really excited to go out to Eugene in the middle of November and play Oregon. We put a lot of pressure already on Alexa and Kennedy to perform at their best during their interview with Elena and Holly. Let's check in right now.
Thanks so much, Rick. Holly and I are so excited to welcome Alexa Rousseau and Kennedy Hill, Northwestern student athletes, today to join us for Big Ten Media Days. Alexa, you've been here before. This is your second Media Days, so you're a bit of a seasoned pro now. But Kennedy, it's your first Big Ten Media Days. What are you most looking forward to today?
Honestly, most looking forward to speaking to you two. This is obviously my first time here. It's the start of a new big adventure, and this is the kickoff, so I'm excited to be here.
Head coach Tim Nollan talked about using you in more ways to help score. How has that been in the gym this spring for you?
Honestly, I'm constantly working on new ways to score. It's easy for middle. We always have the highest ratings or stats on the team, so it's always a challenge to find new ways to score, such as rolling, tipping, whatever, cheap kills. So I want to increase my IQ with volleyball and work with Alexa to do that. So I'm excited.
And now you're going into your third season working with Alexa. Alexa, your 5th year at Northwestern, you have been a steady part of this team for 5 years now. Coach Nollan just called you the rock of the team. How can you explain kind of the legacy that you want to leave in your last season leaving this program?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. My legacy is definitely something that I'm working on closing on, and just helping these girls when I leave the program, knowing that they're at their best that they've been in their past years, and letting them know that I've been their biggest cheerleader and will continue to be, and always think about leaving a place better than you found it. So that's kind of my approach on this last season.
And in your final season, new systems in place in the spring. How has that been for you to adjust to?
It's been fantastic, honestly. I think Tim has been really good at understanding who we are authentically as a group in the program that he came into, but also making sure he was specific on what he would want out of us and making sure he seamlessly integrated his values into our program. So it's been a great mix so far and very competitive.
And with some of those values you just talked about, you have some new faces on the team, on the staff, but a couple transfers, a couple freshmen coming in. Can you explain to us a little bit about what Northwestern volleyball is going to look like this year, culture-wise?
Yeah, absolutely. I think us group of girls really got to be a part of adding those new pieces to our team, and we worked really hard over the past few years to build a team that is just full of bright, positive energy and that unbreakable chemistry that every team hopes they have. So we were very particular in what we were looking for and found amazing girls to join and integrate kind of right in and be exactly who we need. So I think the team you're going to see is an authentic team, a competitive team, but also a team that's never going to back down. We love a challenge, and we're so grateful that every night we get to play one of the best teams in the country. So definitely going to use that to our advantage and rise to the occasion.
And your head coach has high expectations, NCAA tournament. He has those goals for you. Being in the Big Ten, almost every match, you might be an underdog. How do you guys approach those matches?
I feel like our team now has understood that, and we appreciate that role, actually. We love to take that on, and we know we've been counted out multiple times of proving people wrong, so that's the name of our game now. And I think every night we're going in just fearless and know that when we have each other's back and we believe in what we can accomplish, it's going to happen.
No game ever in the Big Ten is going to be easy, and you guys have learned that in your years so far. Kennedy, going into your third season now, how are you looking to kind of elevate your game, make yourself more of a presence on the court in this tough conference?
Yeah, like I said earlier, I'm trying to work on new routes, new ways to score, working with Alexa. Constant feedback loop is always important with the setter in the middle. So always working on that, and just knowing that we're going to be coming up against big blocks, and that's also a difficult thing about being a middle is that, you know, big blocks. So just working on all the new skills that I can and coming up in this next season.
In being part of the Big Ten, you need to focus on defense because you've got some of the strongest offensive players in the country. What kind of defensive systems have you put into place and are you excited about?
I'm really excited about blocking. We worked a lot on blocking over the spring, new ways to hold our hands over the net, and just focusing on pressing. That's the big emphasis. So coming into this next season, Jeff and Tim have done a great job of letting us know their defense system, and it's been clear. So I'm excited to use it coming into this next season.
We're excited to see it be put into play, but we're also excited to see you guys take on some new conference members as well this year. Like everyone knows, we got 4 new teams in the conference out on the West Coast. Having played in this conference already, what are you looking forward to playing against them, and what advice do you have for those new members joining the conference? Lex, you can go first.
Yeah, I think we had the privilege to play Oregon last year at their very best, so that was incredibly exciting, but also very new. So having a little bit of that experience has been great, but also we have people like Kennedy who come from the West Coast and kind of know that style of volleyball, and also a few coaches that we've had in the past, including Tim, who understand that style and also understand the strategy that goes behind it. So being someone who is a strategic player, I honestly really appreciate that and enjoy that. So I would definitely, if I had advice for those other teams, it's just tell them to stay true to who they are and stick to it, because once you join a new conference with a lot of dominant hitters, you never know what can happen, so your style may match up really well. So just be authentic and true to their system, and I think it'll work out great.
Heading into your final season, what venue are you most looking forward to playing in this season?
I would say Oregon. I'm really excited to go to Oregon. I think it's a great opportunity that we have to play there, and I think beyond a volleyball match, I think Oregon is just such a sports experience, so I'm really excited to play in such a historical place.
And Kennedy?
I'm most excited to play at Washington. We went my freshman year for preseason, and Seattle is just a beautiful place, and Washington is also a beautiful campus, and they're a great competitor, so I'm super excited to go back.
Well, Kennedy, Alexa, thank you so much for joining us today. We're so excited to watch you guys this season. Good luck, and back to you, Rick.
Thank you so much.
In today's day and age of college athletics, and volleyball certainly applies, you have to hit the recruiting trail hard. And Michigan did that. The 12th ranked recruiting class in the NCAA, as you look at some of the freshmen on their way to join the roster this year for the Maize and Blue in Ann Arbor. And we are thrilled to welcome in Benavia Jenkins, associate head coach for the Wolverines. Head coach Erin Virtue right now enjoying her time in Paris.
Yes.
We're just discussing the U.S. national team, who Coach Virtue is the OC for, onto the quarterfinals after, much to the dismay of the home crowd, beating France in the previous round. How dialed in have you and the team been to watching what Coach Virtue and Team USA has been doing?
Yeah, we're very dialed in. We're so happy for Team USA. We're very happy for Erin. I give her a lot of crap. I tell her, like, I am so impressed with you that you can, be the head coach of Michigan and on top of that, assistant coach for Women's USA Volleyball. I love what she does, but I'm not sure if that's something that I would be capable of doing, both jobs. But we are dialed in. We're excited for Team USA, and we're rooting them on to victory.
Yeah, it's amazing. Coach Virtue's over there. Alfie Reft of UCLA. He
Yes.
won't be able to be here because he's over there with Team USA as well. So many coaches doing such amazing work. I mentioned the amazing work that you and the staff did do on the recruiting trail, bringing in such a highly ranked recruiting class. Tell me a little bit more about how that came to be.
Yeah, I think when we came in, there was a lot of attention with Aaron coaching with the USA national team. So we sold a lot of that to our players, our recruits, and just the vision that we have, moving forward with Michigan. We want to win championships. We want to be the contenders to make it to the tournament. And so just getting those players that want to come in and help us win and believe in this vision. This is what really helped us drive this recruiting class home.
Now, having talent is one thing, young talent especially, but the second part of that job, from the coaching perspective, is to find the chemistry and to meld it with the existing players to make sure that it works on the court. How have you as a staff gone about trying to do the best job of that?
When you're speaking of chemistry and the players, or chemistry within the coaching staff?
Chemistry among the players that are existing on the roster, and then see this highly ranked recruiting class. All the plaudits, but they're still freshmen. And as you know, as a coach, freshmen often make freshman mistakes. So how do you build that team chemistry within the players?
Yeah, as you know, this is going on our second season, but we have a really good leadership committee. We have Allison, Serena, and Jackie did a really nice job this spring and within the season, just leading our team. So our freshmen and are here now, and so just getting them on board, teaching them the ropes of how we do it at Michigan. And I think they all have the same mindset, like we want to win. So there's no jealousy or there's no envy with it. It's more like, hey, yes, we got some freshmen that's coming in that's ready to compete, that's going to put pressure on everyone's in their position. So we're super excited about that. And I think our leadership committee has done a really nice job just getting everyone on board and just leading by example.
Yeah, Serena, Nyambio, Allison, Jenkins, they're your player reps. We'll hear from them in just a little bit. Now, Allison was one of the players that was bitten by that injury bug last year. And when you look back at your season last year, you had so many season-ending injuries or injuries that took players out for more than half of the year. How did the team kind of deal with that adversity and finish as strong as it did at the end of the year?
Yeah, when we talk about adversity, when we first came in, we lost three players, and so that went into the transfer portal, and so I think they already dealt with that. We had a incident that happened on our team. It was more adversity that our team had to get through. So I think these girls are just really strong and they know how to push through. Having Allison back this spring, she looks really, really good. So I think that time that she had to, that she took off to heal, not only just physically but mentally, and I think she is going to be so fun to watch this season.
What will her return mean to what you guys can do on the court and to what happens off the court and in the team room?
Yeah, on the court, she's going to bring us, her passing skills are amazing. I think that's one of her biggest, that she will speak highly about, is she is very confident and so receive. And her leadership off the court, Allison just does the right things all the time. She's older. She's a veteran. She's like the grandmother of the team. So
not so sure she'd like that particular description, but I understand what you're getting at.
Well, I was in the same position as a old senior, and that's what she is. So, but she has so much great qualities of leadership in her, and off the court, the girls respect her. So.
Serena returns as your leading blocker, and before we started the interview, you and I were talking about the amazing amount of athleticism that this sport provides and how it's eye-popping for some folks watching for the first time. Serena certainly applies to that description. What will she mean to your team's success in 24?
Oh, yeah. We keep Serena healthy. We keep her, maybe just limiting her on her swings and jumps. Serena's going to bring in a lot of, her blocking skills are amazing. So just her reading, able to read the game well. She's improved with that, especially over the spring, just watching her develop her volleyball IQ. So being able to have a middle that's offensive and defensively good is going to definitely help our game.
Taking a close look at your schedule and recently announced the Chrysler slate. You have 9 of your 17 games inside Chrysler Center. How cool is that for you guys?
It's so cool. No knock on Keene, because we love Keene as well, but Chrysler Arena, when you can, break records of as far as how many attendance, the attendance of our fans that's been coming out. It's been amazing. So to have those big matches in Chrysler is going to be huge for us. It's a fun atmosphere. Our girls love it. So yeah, we're excited.
I believe you also have a fascinating exhibition against Pitt, right? For the longest time, one of the strongest, best teams in the country.
Yes.
What was the philosophy behind scheduling an exhibition like that against such a talented team?
Yeah, I mean, that's what you want. You want to get prepared for the season, right? So, challenging or playing against a team like Pitt, who was in the Final Four, last year, and they're returning most of their players. And this is going to be good for our players to get some good experience, seeing different lineups, and just being able to play against a really good team. So we're excited about that.
Also, obviously, getting you ready for the gauntlet that is the Big Ten schedule. Maybe some other conferences tried to argue over the last couple of years about the most dominant conference. I don't think there's any question now, especially with the addition of the 4 schools. So from a coaching staff, how do you look at this schedule from a big picture perspective? Make sure you're not getting overwhelmed. Make sure the players aren't getting overwhelmed by what they're staring at when they do look at that schedule. Because I know you're trying to tell them not to do it, but they're doing it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you have to look at it. This is the top conference, and and I played in the SEC, and now being in the Big Ten, I think our players, you have to treat every team the same. It doesn't matter who's in our conference, who's not in our conference. You have to respect all the talent in the teams that's here competing against us. So we just got to be prepared and don't focus on the big names, but focus on what we can control.
And I know you do have a lot of different perspectives. You're an outstanding player at Florida, head coach, assistant coach. What has this popularity boom been like for you from the days that you were a player to now watching the turnouts that we see and the television coverage that we have for this sport just a few years later?
Yeah, I thought when I was in college, women's sports was, huge. Now that I'm really on the outside looking in, I'm like, wow, this is amazing. All this support. When we're talking about adding the professional leagues into the States, this is just an amazing experience that these young ladies are going to be able to have. I traveled overseas to play, and I wish we had something in the States where my family can, watch and enjoy me play outside of college, now professional. So, women's sports it is booming, and volleyball is just the talent and just being able to watch a phenomenal sport and get all of the support from other athletes and actors and actresses that's supporting women's volleyball and just women's sports in general is amazing.
Lastly, Benavia, I know you guys would like Erin to stay in Paris for as long as possible because that means a gold medal will be coming back to the U.S., but it also obviously shortens the time frame between when the head coach returns and the start of your season. So how snug will that time frame be, and what do you guys have to get accomplished before opening weekend at the end of August?
So right now, there's been a lot of Zoom calls, and we've been discussing, preseason practices right now and what that's going to look like until she gets back. And that's why she hired us, because she knows that she has a staff that can, organize and run practices. So we're hoping that she stays as long as possible, and we'll just, take care of the babies at home.
Benavia, Jenkins, we truly appreciate your time. Wish you and the Wolverines the best in 2024.
Thank you.
All right, so we discussed your schedule a little bit. The camera's going to get a closer shot, and there are some rivalry games early. You have Notre Dame in early September. Michigan State, always important against the in-state rivals at the end of September, against Ohio State in the middle of October. And look at that backloaded schedule. How about Wisconsin and Nebraska, road trip to Lincoln, end of October, and then there's the Oregon date right toward the end of the season. More now with the Wolverine players as we send it back over to Elena and Holly.
Thanks so much, Rick. Holly and I are joined now by Allison Jacobs and Serena Nyambio from Michigan Volleyball. Welcome to Big Ten Media Days. We're so lucky to have you here today. We were talking about your coach, Erin Virtue, in Paris right now with our Olympic team. Allison, can you just tell us a little bit about what that's like, playing in a gym where your head coach is coaching the best athletes in the world and then comes back and brings that knowledge to you guys?
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible, and you don't really realize how much knowledge she really has until well, I do realize it, but like you're sitting down and you're watching film and you're talking to her, and the point of reference is literally the U.S. national team. Like we're watching film on ourselves, and then we're turning around and watching Erin's practice with the U.S. national team. And it's so cool to implement that philosophy, and then also allowing Erin to bring her own philosophy into our gym, and like this beautiful mishmash of it all. It's such a privilege to have her knowledge and like her connections with that gym.
Serena, what have you learned the most from her in the last year?
I think the knowledge she's gained from the players in the Olympics has been insane. I mean, she's showing me things that the middle blockers who play at a much higher level than me are seeing, and it's allowing my game to grow a lot more. I mean, looking at the setter's hands and reading the block and reading the pass are things I've never even thought to do before. And she just elevated my game to another level. It's been insane. Yeah.
Serena, you just touched on it a little bit, but last season you started commanding the net a little bit more as a middle. We saw your presence on the court. Yeah. We saw you. What were you focusing on ending last season, this spring and summer, heading into this season?
Yeah, kind of perfecting my craft in a sense. Erin brought in Benavia Jenkins, who also was a middle at Florida, and her perspective has been huge for me. Me and the other middles, I mean, a lot of the different looks at the volleyball and like things to focus on I never thought to do before. So the goal is honestly to learn more from her, absorb as much as I possibly can to help our team next year.
Allison, you were out last year. What was it like being on the bench watching your team?
You know, it definitely brought, I think, a lot of growth as a leader, and I really focus on building really strong personal connections with a lot of the newcomers, and I've been very inspired to continue that and recognize the importance of the relationships off the court, because I was off the court. It's been really cool and rewarding to see how those, now that I'm back on the court, carry such strength. And like our team worked so hard in the spring all together, and we built such a great foundation that we're carrying into fall that I'm really excited about.
Did you have any of the freshmen join you in the spring? Any
No.
graduate early? Okay.
Yeah.
We're excited to see you back out on the court, Allison. You were a great leader from the bench last year. That was very fun to see. But give us a bit of a preview. Serena, you can take this one. Give us a bit of a preview of what Michigan volleyball is going to look like this year. What can fans expect to see?
A lot of new faces, some returners coming back to us, but I think just a lot of growth. We've learned a lot from last year. People say when you lose is when you learn the most, and it was a rougher season, but the amount of perseverance we've gained and discipline that we've gained from it has been remarkable. I mean, a lot of these younger girls, they saw a struggle and they've seen how much we want to be better and how much we do want to win. And getting some players back and some new players is going to be nice.
Your coach talked about the adversity you guys faced as a team, losing players with some injuries. Now you're welcoming in 5 new faces. How do you teach them that culture?
So something we've been working a lot on during the summer practices, and we focused on obviously getting the craft done, like the volleyball craft. We're working on practices and drills that we'll see in the fall, so that transition is a little bit more smooth. But again, also building those relationships off the court. So when things get tough in the fall, because they will, it's busy, we're traveling, we're playing a lot of games, like those relationships and that foundation that we worked really hard to build in the summer is really what's going to be the foundation that leads us to success.
Honestly, just getting them comfortable. As a freshman, you're super nervous. You don't know the girls. You're like, oh, what do I say? When do I say it? So making them feel really comfortable with us. They're our friends at the end of the day, like our teammates. All of us are super close. We're best friends. We go over to each other's houses. So like setting that culture from the start.
And you guys as veterans, how do you lead these new young freshmen? Just how do you empower them to be great?
Just by example, I feel like. They see how hard we work, they see how dedicated we are to the team, and that's the only way to truly follow someone.
We're adding some new faces to your team, of course, but also some new faces and new teams to this conference with those 4 teams joining our conference this year. Allison, I know you have a bit of experience already playing for against those teams. Can you tell me a little bit about your thoughts when you heard these teams are joining and just kind of some excitement there?
Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm really glad that we're going to California, because I'm just hopeful and excited to see my family and allow a new fan base to see Michigan volleyball specifically. I think we are a really cool program that the West Coast maybe isn't in touch with because we're kind of far away, but it's really a moment of, again, of like more growth of volleyball, but new faces in the conference is going to be really exciting. New style of play, it's going to be a lot of like adversity and adjustment, but I'm really excited, and I hope that their travel is not too bad. Yeah.
Serena, do you have any advice for some of these new teams coming into our conference? Having played in the Big Ten now, this conference is rigorous every single night. What's your advice to those new teams coming?
It's going to be tough, but dig deep. I mean, every weekend you play either a ranked team or a very high level team, and like it's not like any other conference. It's the best conference, I think, in the country. I know, in the country, and like you gotta dig deep and you gotta get through the adversity. You gotta get through those tough matches. You might get upset, you might not, and it's all about just digging deep. Yeah.
Allison, you've seen some of those teams from the other conference, and we've heard other coaches talk a different style from the West Coast. Do you notice that difference between the West Coast and Big Ten volleyball?
I do notice the difference. It's not. I think the difference is getting less dramatic, but I feel like the Midwest and the Big Ten brings like a bigger type of volleyball, like a more aggressive and like more go get 'em versus maybe like a more like cohesive ball control type style on the West Coast. It'd be really cool to see those go head to head like every weekend.
Well, I used to hear the West Coast tries to beat you with speed, and then the Big Ten schools like big
With
power
size.
and size.
Mm-hmm.
What venues are you guys looking forward to playing the most in?
You can go
Oh
first.
yeah, I'm really looking forward. We have a Wednesday game at Penn State, and I'm really excited for that because I love that environment, and I haven't gotten able to play. I haven't played in it yet, and on a random Wednesday too. I think it'll just be a really cool opportunity to like get gritty and like get after it. Yeah.
I love playing in Nebraska. I mean, they love volleyball there, and you can tell in the fans. It's not like they're trying to attack you as a player, but you can tell their love and passion for the sport. So when you play there, it just feels amazing. Yeah.
Okay, gonna change it up a little bit because we were talking so much about the Olympics. Assuming you guys have been watching, if you could play another sport in the Olympics, what would you play?
I would play women's soccer, without a doubt. It was my first love, and I love watching our U.S. national team. I think they're sick.
I definitely play tennis. I mean, my name's Serena, so I love Serena Williams. And when I was younger, I also played tennis since she was my idol. So yeah, for sure, tennis.
What kind of goals have you guys set for this team? Do you have goals coming into the season?
Yeah, one thing that we leaned really heavily on during the spring was this motto of leaving Michigan volleyball better than you found it. And we really liked that because it opens up possibilities. Everybody can take that and run with that how they see it, but ultimately it's leaving it better than you found it. So what are you picking up, and then how are you improving it for the next person or for the person next to you at the time? And I think that's something we're going to keep leaning into this fall.
Yeah. And honestly, just putting our all into the program. I think all of these girls know what they're coming into. They know what we want to do with this program. And kind of like Allison said, leaving it better than we saw it.
Well, we can't wait to see you guys play this season. Allison, Serena, thank you so much for your time. I hope you have a blast today. Back to you, Rick.
Nice season, but before we get into your team, you're just back from a trip to the Olympics in Paris. Got to watch some volleyball as well. How was that experience?
It was great. You know, it's a great international sport for if you've never seen it internationally. We do it great here in the Big Ten, obviously, but we got to see one of our former players in Jordan Poulter do her thing out there, and we also coached another one in Justine Wong-Orantes when we were at Nebraska. So it's but it was great to see Jordan, her family, and just USA just doing their thing. I mean, it's a whole different experience when you're out there and supporting your country and everyone's cheering, and it was just a great experience overall. And my wife was there in 2008 as a player, and she's like, I like it a lot better without the knee pads this time.
A little bit more relaxed.
A lot less pressure, yeah.
Less stressful.
Yeah.
What's the biggest difference? Obviously, the experience and the talent level, but the biggest difference between what we see in women's college volleyball, maybe specifically in the Big Ten, and what you see at the international level?
Actually, I was talking to our players this morning at breakfast. I said, you know, there's not a ton of difference in terms of, you know, how the game's being played. I think we're playing it at the highest level here in the Big Ten, and we talk about that all the time, that it's difficult to win. And so I think, you know, a lot of these players that are on the national team are coming from the Big Ten because we're used to these type of environments, and we're used to playing in these big venues, big arenas, and you know, the game still kind of remains the same. And yeah, there's a few players out there that do a few special things that you know, you like to have on your own roster, but we're trying to teach our players just to do the same stuff that is done at the highest level. And we saw a lot of the things that we talked about every day in our gym, you know, done at the world stage.
And as strong as this conference has been in recent years, gets even stronger this year. From a coach's perspective, what's the first thought when the schedule is released and you look at what you're facing every week in, week out? And that's just in Big Ten play. It doesn't even count the non-conference.
Yeah. You know, it's for us, it's always about just accepting those challenges, right? And it's always been a tough conference. So adding the next four, it just provides a different type of challenge where before you get, you know, to return to an opponent, now you're going to play one match against a lot of them, and you don't get the time, you know, if you play someone early on and maybe you develop a little bit better, or maybe you caught someone when you had an injury or didn't have an injury or whatever it might be, I think that's going to be the tricky part, and how maybe that translates into the season can be interesting to kind of see how it plays out, because you might be really strong at the end, and you would want to face someone, and you figure out some things with your roster and everything else. And I think that's going to be the biggest challenge of not just the travel with the scheduling, but how that kind of formulates, and you get to play someone one time, and you got one time to figure out how to beat them. I think that's going to be the tricky part.
I know everyone wants their year to end with a deep run in the NCAA tournament, so you didn't get exactly to where you wanted to be at the end of last year. What do you take away from 2023, both from a positive standpoint and from the standpoint of looking at and saying, if we want to compete this year, we have to be better?
Yeah, it always remains the same. We want to be really great about being in the moment, and I think our team's done a tremendous job at that. And last couple of years, we've been hit a little bit with the injury bug, and it's been unfortunate as it has been. We're still stayed together as a team. As you mentioned, we finished in the top half of the Big Ten ever since we've been here. I've been here, and that's really hard to do. And I tell the team it's not always going to show up in the wins or the year that you end up winning it, but we always have to learn the lessons that we need to become not just better players, but better people too. So there's a lot of takeaways that we've had as a team. The team's hungry. They're competing a lot this summer, and all the feedback I've gotten from their open gyms is they're fired up. They're ready to go. We're looking forward to it here coming shortly.
Fired up, ready to go. Also sounds like your fan base, great home environment. You guys with 10 wins there last year. You always protect that home court. How important is it for you when you look at the big picture of what you have to face this year to be successful inside Huff Hall?
I think it means everything to have a home court advantage, and our fans have always showed up. And it's just an arena that gets loud. It's it's a historical venue. It's got good acoustics. The fans are on you, and our team knows how to get after it in that venue. And we always want to protect our house. We want to be great everywhere we go, obviously, but it means a lot more when you win at home, and you want to sing the alma mater afterwards, and everyone wants to be arm in arm and celebrate wins. So it was great to have a great home record last year. Looking forward to do more of the same.
I think when you combine Huff and the State Farm Center, I'm not sure that there's a louder 1-2 combo in the Big Ten. And as you said, fans right on you in both. You have two very experienced and talented players here to represent your program. Let's start with Raina Terry. Last year, she was top 2 in attacks, kills, and points per set in the Big Ten. Is there still more room for growth for Raina to get even better?
Oh, there always is. There has to be. We've talked about that with her, and these last several years, we've asked her to do a lot. Again, partially due to some of the injuries that we've had, she's had to carry us several swings for us. You can't just send her on the same route, so she's gotten used to hitting in different routes, front row, back row. Front of the setter, behind the setter, and we're adding a few more things to her game this year that I think are going to help her be successful. But of course, it's a team game, and she knows that, and she wants to be the best leader she can be too. So she's really taken on that role tremendously, and we're looking forward to her taking on that role even more as the season goes on.
Yeah, awesome to see not just her effectiveness, but the energy that she provides when she's swinging well on the offensive side. Meanwhile, Caroline had more than 330 digs last year. What does she do for your team, especially in that transition from defense to offense and making sure that you guys are in system when you have a chance to put a ball away?
Yeah, the first thing we talked about, always talk about is serve receive. I think she's done a great job of just improving every single year. We've asked her to handle a lot as well. Sometimes we pass with 2 with her and Raina, or she takes a lot of court. And I think that's always the first line of attack or defense, if you will, is to be really good in serve receive. And then same thing, she's been on the floor for us ever since she's been here. And so that experience and she holds a lot of clout amongst the team, and how she's able to translate that to scoring the point or staying in the system or setting up the defense or anything else that goes along with trying to get wins.
I know the Big Ten worked really hard in scheduling and trying to make sure that there aren't a lot of short weeks with long trips. From a coaching staff perspective, what can you guys do to offset some of the extra travel that will be on you, on the team, as they're trying to worry about not just winning volleyball matches, but keeping their grades up as well?
Yeah, absolutely. That's something we take seriously too. We're a top institution in the country. Its academics aren't easy, no matter where you're at, but I think specifically Illinois as well. And we want them to be an all-around, student athlete. And so for us, I think when you get to playing seasons, it's a lot about what's that rest recovery cycle look like. Everyone wants to practice. Everyone wants to get after it. And we talk about being efficient when we practice. So we get in, we get after it. We try to get our reps in as fast as we can, or as best we can, I should say. And then we got to make sure we got time for recovery, so we're ready for the next match. You're getting your schoolwork done. I think the Big Ten does a tremendous job with scheduling, and of course, we're able to travel well too, whether it's charter flight or bus, and able to get back in time for class or just rest and recovery.
All right, well, speaking of schedules, let's finish there. You have 24 days, not counting today, between our meeting at Media Days and your opener against Cincinnati. What's the biggest priority for you and the team before opening Friday?
For us, it's figuring out lineup, I think, as everyone is going to. We have several returners, and we also have 8 newcomers too. So we have 4 transfers, 4 freshmen, and some very talented players. And I think it's going to be a lot about just figuring out in the first week or 10 days, who fits where, and ideally people can fill in at different spots if need be. Like you mentioned, just came back from the Olympics, and everyone's moving around too. So if we can kind of take some of those lessons and always put players in where they're the most successful and help us win, I think that's the biggest thing between now and our first game.
Chris Tamas, appreciate the time. Always great to see you. Best of luck to you and the team.
Thank you.
Talked about some of those lengthy road trips. Well, the Illini are getting one out of the way very early to Oregon and Washington at the end of September. You see some other important dates, including twice against Nebraska, first at home and then on the road in October, finishing up late in the year at home with a visit from UCLA. Speaking of visits, let's hear from the Illini players as we head back to Elena and Holly once again.
Thanks, Rick. Good stuff over there. Holly and I are joined with Caroline Barnes and Raina Terry, Illinois student athletes. Welcome to Big Ten Media Days. We're so excited to have you guys here. Raina, we got you back for a 5th year. Tell us about that decision to come back and play one more season.
Yeah, I get asked that a lot, and every time I say it was probably one of the easiest decisions I've ever made. I'm very fortunate to have the coaching staff that I do, and they made that decision very easy for me and the teammates. I mean, it was a very easy choice to come back.
Are you excited with all these new 8 players joining your team?
Absolutely. I mean, having them in the gym in the summer has been great. They're going to make a contribution no matter what. I mean, they're great people, they're great teammates, so it'll be fun.
Both of you are now veterans on this squad, so you have those new faces coming in. Caroline, can you tell us a little bit about your kind of game plan going into this season, how you plan on being a leader with this team?
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the biggest things that we have worked on as a team is our culture and our communication standards with how we are on and off the court. And that was something we knew that with 8 new people coming in, obviously you're not all going to be on the same page. So we put in a lot of work this summer to get on the same page, to show them what our standards are. And they've done an incredible job, adjusting. They've taken it all. And I'm really excited for going into this season just to see how it translates.
And Caroline, how has your role changed over the last few years? Feel like you've taken more responsibility.
For sure. I was just a DS, or not just a DS, but I was a DS my freshman year, so kind of got to learn the role a little bit, get comfortable with the team and everything. So I feel like as I've transitioned to libero and then just, been the libero the past couple years, I've grown in my leadership role and more girls come to me, which has been weird, but it's been awesome to kind of be in that, seniority role. It's been cool.
Raina, Coach Tamas commended you a lot last season for how you were able to handle the pressure that your opponents would put on you. You were their focal point, and you knew that going into those matches. Can you walk us through how you kind of mentally prepared going into a matchup knowing that you were always going to have a good double, maybe triple block up in front of you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't do anything special. I mean, I kind of take the pressure with how it is, and I just go into every match swinging, and I take whatever's thrown at me.
Is it a different approach in terms of they're going to focus on you? You don't have to change anything up?
No, I just trust my game. I trust my coaches. I trust my strength coach that, they've trained me for those moments, and I don't think I have to do anything special. I just play how I always do.
Are there any areas of your game that you've worked on this spring?
Yeah, there's quite a few. I mean, there's always room to grow, and I've gotten a lot of help from my teammates, and Brooke has done a great job working with me over the summer, trying to add some new things to my tool belt. So it'll be exciting to see what comes of it.
I mean, obviously you two are some key returners to this year's squad. You just mentioned setter Brooke Mosier. You have some new faces coming in this season. You talked about the culture. Can you give us a little bit of an insight of what we can expect to see from Illinois volleyball this year?
Yeah, absolutely. We are a very gritty team. We're very competitive. Me and Raina, I feel like, are the leaders of that a little bit. So our culture is very competitive, but we're together as a team still. We want to be able to communicate with each other. We want to be able to push each other, and we're not competing against each other, we're competing with each other. No matter, obviously we have a lot of new girls on the squad, so there's going to be some competition for spots, but we want that to be as healthy and as supportive as possible. So that's a lot of things that I think I'm excited to see translate in the fall this year.
You two are leaders on the team. Who's the most vocal leader?
I think we all kind of share that role a little bit, especially Brooke too, being a setter, she has to be pretty vocal, and she's done a great job stepping into that role. Barnes and I, also, we try our best to be vocal, and yeah, we all just try our best.
Yeah. You got to be pretty vocal in this league because I feel like every gym is so loud, yours included. Super fun one to play in. Besides your own, are there any other venues? Raina, we'll start with you, but I want to hear you as well, Caroline. Any other venues that you love playing in, you're looking forward to playing in this season?
Yeah, I love playing at Nebraska. It's always a challenge. It's so loud in there. It's so rowdy. So like you said, you have to be very vocal so that way your teammates can hear you. So I'm excited to play there.
Yeah, I think Nebraska is always a fun one. Purdue, we just have kind of a good rivalry with. We always play each other very tough. They have an incredible fan base that is always very loud in your ear, but it's fun. It gives you a little extra edge. So I really like playing there as well.
Any of the new 4 teams that you're looking forward to matching up against?
Gosh, I mean, I want to play Oregon. They're a great team. They've made back-to-back Elite Eights, so I'm excited to play them. I'm excited to play Washington too. I've heard great things about their campus, and I can't wait to see it. So yeah.
Yeah, same with me. I think we played Washington a couple times in my freshman and sophomore year, so it'll be fun to see them across the net again. And yeah, it'll be incredible to be able to play Oregon in conference play this year.
You both know how difficult this conference is because you've played in it for years now. Every single night is a battle. Now we're adding those 4 more schools that have a history of success. Adding them to this conference now, what can you say about your experience in the Big Ten and kind of give us a preview, a little bit of advice to those new teams joining the conference?
No weekends off ever in the Big Ten. You never are going into a game thinking, oh, this is an easy win, we'll take a load off, whatever. That's why we all came here. I think it's because we live for the competition, and every day, every weekend, every game is a battle. So, and they are up to the task. We've seen them, and they've all had incredible seasons in past years. So it'll be very exciting to have them on the other side of the net as well.
Yeah, I agree with Caroline. There's no off weekends. Every team is going to give you their best. You just can't take anyone for granted in this conference ever.
Obviously, the whole world is watching the Summer Olympics. Have you guys been watching the indoor, and what inspires you the most about that level?
I think it's just crazy how fast they run. I talked to my mom about it. We were just at home watching Team USA, and they run so fast, and it's crazy how they can still connect when they're running that fast. But yeah, I would love to be able to run that fast one day. But yeah, it's a great level of volleyball that they're playing at, and it's so fun to watch. And you try and envision yourself on that stage too one day. So hopefully one day.
I think it's just been incredible to see how every single person on that team is contributing. They're all going in and out. They all have each other's back. It's all the best players we've watched at the collegiate level as we've been growing up. So I think that's just the best part about watching is you see all these girls working together. A lot of them were Big Ten rivals, I'm sure. So it's cool to watch how they all contribute and they all have each other's back.
You even have an alumni yourself with setter Jordan Poulter. It must be cool to be able to look and say, hey, she was in this spot one day. Look at her now. So definitely motivating. We love hearing about you guys as volleyball players, but give me a little bit of insight on what you did this summer outside of the volleyball court. Give us some insight on who Caroline Barnes is and who Raina Terry is off the court.
I've been in Champaign all summer training, but I've been remotely interning for R.W. Baird as a IT and data analytics intern. So that is what a lot of my time has been this summer. So not a ton it's been a lot of volleyball and it's been a lot of work, but it's been good, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of volleyball, a lot of school. I'm working on my master's. I spent a lot of time with my family. I got to go home quite a bit this summer, so it was nice. I got to see my nephew. He's walking now, so I got to see that. But yeah, just spending time with family.
What is it like being in grad school and still competing?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I thought it was gonna be a lot harder, but yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm very fortunate that I get to get my master's by the end of this, so yeah.
Are there any matches you guys are looking forward to playing this season the most? Any that you got circled on your calendar?
Like I said, I love playing Purdue. I think I'm sad we don't get to play them twice because it's always fun to get to play them at home and away. But I feel like we always play them really well and really tough, and it's always, you never know, it's always a toss-up. So
Yeah.
that's it for me probably.
Yeah, Purdue. I'm excited to play UCLA. I'm excited to see Alfie. I love Alfie, so excited to say hi to him. But yeah, really excited for Purdue. Excited to play Oregon. Yeah.
And kind of wrapping up last season, heading into this new season, do you have a favorite memory or a favorite match from the previous season that you kind of look back on? You're like, oh, that was a good time, but looking forward to new times now.
Yeah, the Purdue match. When we played Purdue at home, that was when things really clicked, and I think that was our best team match we've ever played. So yeah, moving forward, I'm excited to see more of that.
I agree with that. That was a fun one. This was a throwback, but freshman year we beat Penn State away on their turf. That was really exciting. Playing my sister my freshman year was also, again, not necessarily for the rivalry competition, but that was just a special memory for me. I think that'll be one of my favorite matches to play.
Awesome. Going to make many more memories this season. We can't wait to watch you guys. Caroline, Raina, thank you so much for joining us. Hope you enjoy the rest of your time here at Big Ten Media Days. Rick?
As we dive more into Wisconsin, Kelly, obviously you had the firsthand look at all of that. When you start to think about your team and what you've built over the time that you've been in Madison, how important is that all-around ability, not just to be good offensively or defensively, but to be good at everything you do to get at the end of the year where you want to be?
Well, you better. If you're going to be playing against the teams that are in this conference, if you're trying to compete for Big Ten championships, national championships, you've got to play at a pretty high level, and that's something we've been able to fortunately do is be pretty consistent. It's about ready to get a lot harder, right, this year. But, we've got a lot of special talent back that I'm excited about coaching.
You have 30 wins again last year, for the last 5 Big Ten titles, the national title in 21. How much more difficult does it become each year to meet the expectations, which no matter how far you go, never diminish? They seem to get loftier and loftier with each season.
Let's look at it. Nebraska won it last year. They returned just about everybody that started for them last year. Oh, yeah, they've got a transfer who is a former Big Ten Player of the Year. We've got 70% of our team coming back. Purdue has almost everybody coming back. They tied for third with Penn State. Penn State has most of their talent coming back. So you've got a lot more experienced players in the conference than what we had a year ago. Most of the all-conference players, the first and second team all-conference players, are returning. And then, now we're going to add UCLA and USC and Washington and Oregon and 3 of those programs that have won championships in their past. So it's about ready to get even hairier.
I've joked with some of the coaches, you look at these schedules now that you have with the addition of those 4 schools and with the non-conference, and I'll get to your non-conference specifically in just a little bit. And I'm guessing the first reaction is, wow, this is amazing to be able to play all these matches. Yeah. And then reality sets in and you realize, wait a second, we have to play all these matches.
You ask any competitor, they want to play against elite teams in elite environments, and so, sometimes as coaches, we get in the way of that because we're worried about our win-loss record or how many, we got to get to however many number of wins, or we've got to worry about seeding for the NCAA tournament or something. It's, I think sometimes we just got to get out of the way and let's try to create these epic matches. And you see that in our sport where the top teams are playing each other and they're playing them in these big arenas. And it's awesome.
You have Louisville, Texas, Stanford, Baylor, Marquette, all in your non-con. It's just announced the Marquette game will be inside the Cole, where you set the indoor record for attendance a year ago. How key is that to what we have seen lately in the popularity rise of this sport? Not just in terms of fan turnout, youth participation, but television coverage as well. Everything is off the charts, and I think part of the reason is because you can turn on a volleyball match any night of the season, and you're going to see 2 of the best teams in the country playing against each other. That's not the case in a lot of other sports.
No, and but if we want to grow, we've got to be willing to do that. And fortunately, I think most of the coaches have been willing to schedule, and we're starting to stretch ourselves a little bit and get out of our little, tiny boxes where, some of our teams are playing in these small venues. We're now getting out. We're playing in front of it, in the basketball venues, and our administrators, certainly in our conference, are getting behind it. And the marketing teams and creative content teams are getting behind it, and the fan bases are eating it up. And so, It's not us. It's not just us. You're seeing that across the board. We're going to Purdue and we'll be playing in Mackey Arena this year, and so that they haven't had too many ball games in their facility. So we're heading in the right direction.
I'm sure last year at the Cole was remarkably fun. It was Florida. Now this year with Marquette, it's obviously a much closer and a geographic rival. How much more does that add to what that match will be?
Well, we played Marquette in Fiserv last year, and that upped the indoor record from the Cole Center the year before. And so I don't think we're going to be able to touch the Cole Center or touch the Fiserv numbers in the Cole Center, but hopefully that place is sold out, and I'm sure the Badger fans will respond to it. And it's an awesome environment. It's not as cozy as what the field house is when the fans are right on top of you, but when you've got that many people and they're all screaming for the same team, it's pretty cool.
How much of a challenge do you think the logistics and the travel will be? I've heard different reactions from coaches about what that will be this year and the change in getting to and from, and the short weeks. I know the Big Ten tried to limit them, but everybody has one or two.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how big of a deal. We're right in the middle of the country, so whether we go east or west, I don't know if it really matters. It's a the opportunity is pretty cool. There's some great coaches out there on the West Coast, great traditions, and people that have been following the sport for a long time out there. So to get our teams out there, we're excited about it. Logistically, I don't know how big of a deal it is. You might be on a plane for an extra 45 minutes. I'm sure they can figure something out to do during that time.
Let's talk about the players that you brought here to represent your program. Sarah Franklin was the Big Ten and AVCA Player of the Year. How special was it for you to watch what she accomplished in 2023, especially for anybody that follows your program that knows what she went through to get back on the court?
When you have players that are on a mission, it's fun to coach. And she was clearly on a mission, continues to be on a mission. She's hungry, she's humble, she's driven. She's had to deal with adversity and has come back from that time and time again in an inspiring way. We've got Devyn Robinson here, who's been here for a long time as well. She graduated a semester early in high school and got here right around when COVID got started. And she's both of those are going to be two of our three captains, and I feel like our team's in good hands with those two leading the way.
We're watching some highlights of Devyn right now. Just watch some of Sarah. Devyn's game is so well-rounded, 4-time All-Big Ten, 3-time All-American selection. How impressed are you, even after all this time, by her ability to do everything on the court so well?
Well, she's a beast, and she continues to get better. She is more locked in right now than she's been in her entire career. She's had a great summer, great last spring. She's probably grown as much since last season as anybody on our team, and we're going to need that out of her. We need that experience. We need her drive. We need her passion. We need her leadership.
Carter Booth, Anna Smrek, also part of the preseason All-Big Ten team. How much will your depth be a strength for your team in 2024?
It will be that our depth, our experience. We're going to need that. I think Anna's capable of being as good of a player as there is in college volleyball. And Carter, she was a great addition to our team last year. She's got so much potential to really control the net and be physical up there. Both of those two are really important pieces for us.
Been fascinating, I think, to watch Anna's development. I go back to something that Purdue basketball coach Matt Painter said about Zach Edey. He was criticizing media who said, well, Zach's only really good because he's really big. Yeah. He said, that means you're not actually watching. Yeah. And I think sometimes there was a criticism of Anna that she was being able to be so successful just because she was bigger than everybody. But you watch her development since she arrived. What have you been blown away by in terms of the player that she's become?
You talk about Zach, and we were talking on the drive here. I think I would love to see one broadcast where her height is never mentioned. I'd love to see one article written where her height is not mentioned. To me, it's lazy when it's just about the height. Here's what I know about Anna. The biggest matches that we have played, she's been her best in those moments. So she doesn't flinch all the way back to her freshman year. She doesn't flinch in those big moments. She wants the ball in big moments. She doesn't get too high or too low when things aren't going her way or when they are going her way. She's, and I would say her confidence is sky high. But She's grown in a ton of different ways.
I know you want to share the credit, as you said before, with other teams and programs and coaches who have really helped drive the rise in popularity of volleyball. How much room is there for even more?
You're going to get me going here. I mean,
Kelly, you got all the time you want, my friend.
There is so much more room to be able to go on, but I see, you see things with, corporate America starting to get involved. Nobody's been a better leader than our conference and the Big Ten Network of driving volleyball, pushing volleyball. And they continue to do that. I think we'll be on the network 12 times this year. That's a lot of times. Last year was our first time. I know, we'll mention some other networks because it's important. We'll be on Fox twice this year. We'll be on NBC twice. We'll be on ESPN. We'll be on FS1. So it's not just one network that is carrying our sport, which has been kind of the case. We've had some others that have entered onto the dance floor, and we're going to need that to continue. We're going to need more of our matches. Any of our matches on network television somewhere in the opening week of the NCAA tournament. We cannot be the most important week of our sport be in the dark, basically. Where you've got to pay. You're never going to grow your fan base if they don't know where to find you. And so those are a couple areas that we've still got some room to go, but. The volleyball committee has done a great job of pushing the sport. Like I said, our conference has been leaders for a long, long time.
Yeah, so many records were set from a viewership perspective last year. I know for us here, and I've said for a long time, I think it's probably the best television viewership sport because it moves so fast, because the athleticism blows you away. It's become our third highest rated sport. Kelly, when this is all said and done, when 2024 is in the rear view, because we're talking now about what an historic season it's guaranteed to be, we're not sure what is down the road. What do you think we might be saying about 2024 and beyond when it comes to women's college volleyball?
On our conference, everybody's racking up the frequent flyer miles, so we should be able to get some good.
A lot of hotel points.
A lot of points there. I don't know. Every season, there's so much excitement and anticipation going in. You've got so much talent that is returning in this conference. One of the things is you're going to have so many teams that are going in and feeling like they can win this thing. There's tradition right now. There have been 12 teams that have ever won a national championship in our sport. 6 of them are in the Big Ten. I think we've got, Emily Amon was just talking that half of the overall national championships are now in the Big Ten Conference. And so you're going to have fan bases that are going to be expecting big things, and it's never been harder than what's going to be this year.
Kelly Sheffield, Wisconsin head coach. Kelly, always great to catch up. Wish you and the Badgers the best of luck.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
All right, talked about that schedule. Here you go. Take a look at the first 3 on top. Those are non-conference matches. Louisville, Texas, Stanford. Talked about national championships. Those teams also know something about national championships, and Wisconsin will certainly be in the mix for another one in 2024, thanks to a couple of players who are standing by with Elena and Holly.
Thanks so much, Rick. Holly and I are back, this time welcoming Devyn Robinson and Sarah Franklin from Wisconsin Volleyball. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Welcome to Big Ten Media Days. We just took a peek at your non-conference schedule, those 3 matches, starting with Louisville, Stanford, Texas. Which one are both of you most excited to play against?
Personally, Texas. I've got to get our lick back, but it's going to be a really exciting game. So much talent on both sides of the net.
For sure Texas, but I mean Louisville, right out of the gate, that's our first game. I'm just excited to see what we're made of then.
Mm-hmm. Hold on, can we see the bling? Wow, that's impressive. I just noticed that.
Make that little clink.
So your head coach just told us 70% of your lineup returning, but both setters gone. You have a new setter coming in, freshman Charlie Furbringer. How excited are you guys for her arrival, and how are you guys going to look different?
Oh, I'm so excited for Charlie. I think she is ready to go. And it's so fun to see all the freshmen come in and really just get to experience every single Big Ten arena, every single one of those. So I think it's going to be really fun for her to step in and really get into that setter position because, it is such a big role. And I think she's just going to do a really good job.
Yeah, I'm really excited for Charlie, and even having her level of talent in the gym helps elevate our other setters to be as good as she is, and I'm really excited.
You're such a versatile player for this team. Do you see yourself possibly in a different role if she's running a 5-1?
Yeah, probably. I feel like wherever Kelly needs me, but I could see myself in the middle or the right side because I do run the dog behind, and I'm pretty good off one foot. So.
Yes, you are.
Sarah, we're so excited to see you back this season, coming off of last season as Big Ten Player of the Year, AVCA National Player of the Year, and everyone knows just what you went through last season is incredibly inspiring, from being told you may never play volleyball again, and then becoming the AVCA National Player of the Year. I have chills right now just saying that. That's so amazing. But Sarah, please just give us a little bit of insight on how you kind of persevered through that entire experience last season.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a big wrench thrown in my summer plans, but after all of that happened and I knew that I was going to be back on that court, all I wanted to do was get on that court. All I wanted to do was go in the gym extra and get all of the work in that I can, because you never know when you're going to hang up those knee pads. And I think just having that kind of second chance, I was like, I'm not leaving anything to chance. I am taking this by the horns and I'm running through it. So that was definitely helped me out during the latter part of that to get those.
Last summer, you were battling health issues. This year, you look as fit as I've ever seen you. What have you been doing this summer?
Yeah, a lot of volleyball. I mean, I went with Team USA to the Dominican Republic, and that was a fantastic experience, and I have just really honed in on everything that I'm doing. Everything that I'm doing is for the court. Everything that I'm doing is to be the best that I can possibly be on that court, because guess what? I want to win. We want to win together, and this is what is going to happen this year, whether you like it or not.
Love that. Mic drop on that one, Sarah. Obviously, we know you guys have high goals. This is a really high achieving program. We saw all those rings on your fingers already. Obviously, a goal is to get another one, maybe a couple more of those. Devyn, can you give us some insight on what it looks like in the Wisconsin volleyball gym right now? What's that culture like? What's that mindset like going into this season?
Honestly, it's electric. Everyone, you can just feel the vibe, how everyone just wants to be better. They want to be better for each other. And even if someone is having an off day, it's like going into the gym is being able to release yourself, release that stress, and lean into your sisters ultimately, because when you come to Wisconsin, like, you have a built-in family in the locker room and in the court. It's like we all know that we're out there for each other and that we have to uplift the school, uplift our coaching staff. Like, it's just representing something bigger than ourselves, and I feel like everyone understands that, and you can feel that especially when we step out on the court.
One of the things I loved hearing about your team was that you guys kind of challenged each other in terms of blocking. Like, you all wanted to be better at blocking. So as you got better, then you got better. Is that are you guys still pushing each other in that way in the gym?
Oh my gosh, 100%. We absolutely love that. We encourage having those practices where things can get a little heated, because that's just the competitive side coming out. And again, it just makes us better. You know, Devyn stuffs me, I go around, that made me better. Then Devyn stuffs me again. That made her better. She knows all those, and it's so amazing to play against phenomenal athletes.
Yeah, it just makes it that much more fun since everyone knows each other, everyone knows their tendencies. Like, I think our last open gym, Anna stuffed me 5 times in my face. I was like, all right, like, I'm gonna hit it down the line. So I gotta switch it up a little bit, and it just makes the gym that much better.
You've been one of the best programs in the country the last 3 years. How do you pay attention to detail, and what are the details that are really important to you right now?
So many details. I mean, as a team culture, that is what we pride ourselves on. We know that us sticking together and us being really strong will get us through those tough moments, will get us through that. So everything that comes from cleaning up all the trash, cleaning up everything around you, just really taking pride in what you do and how you carry yourself on and off the court.
Yeah, like, there's no little things. Like what you said, cleaning up after ourselves in the weight room or in the locker room, like, it's our space and we need to take care of it. And whether that's going to bed 5 minutes earlier, it's like that could help us like 5 minutes more in a match. Like, you never know.
You talked a little bit about your time in the gym with USA this summer, Sarah. Can you give us some insight on what that was like? You traveled and played with them. What was that experience like for you?
It was so phenomenal just to be able to play with so many high-level athletes. Again, a lot from the Big Ten Conference, just to be able to experience that and see what that'll be like, after college. But being able to put a face and a personality to the name that you always play against is even better. So when I go and play against these people, I can say, hey, remember when we were at USA? Like, it's such a bonding moment, and I'm very grateful that I got to do that.
You even have a couple Badger alumni in Paris right now representing Team USA. What does it mean to you guys to be able to see, like, those girls were in my shoes, they wore this jersey, and now they're competing on the biggest stage possible? How does that motivate you guys?
It's just really inspirational. I mean, I've always looked up to Dana. She was one of the big reasons why I came to Wisconsin, and she helped me a lot in our championship run because I had to switch back to middle, and it was just the two of us, and she was like, okay, like, you got this. Like, she was my rock, and to see her living out her dreams is just, it's really inspiring, and it makes me want to do the same thing that she's doing.
It's so awesome to see Badgers up there and know that that was a really big goal for them, and to have that be a realistic goal for us, I think is even cooler. And to just see that now and be like, hey, we're chasing the same thing, we can respect that very highly.
So the Big Ten, you've got some rivalries you're used to competing against with the 4 new teams. Any matchups or gyms that you're looking forward to playing in?
I'm really excited to go play at UCLA. Like, I've never been on their campus, and I've always seen like pictures of it. It just looks so beautiful, and I'm really excited to go play over there.
Yeah, I think UCLA would be fantastic. I think having Oregon at the Fieldhouse again as a rerun of the Elite Eight, I think will be really exciting. They're just a phenomenal team every single time. Yeah. So I think that'll be really fun to see again.
Last 2 years, you battled with Oregon, right?
No, Penn State we did for the past 2 years. Oregon was last year.
And then where's your favorite venue to play in overall?
Probably Devyn. It's just, every time you go in there, you're going to get an insane atmosphere with people cheering, and, sometimes you can't even hear yourself. So I think Devyn is just really fun to play in.
Penn State's arena, because the fans are right on top of you. And I'll have to say Devyn as well, but for a different reason, because when you start winning, then it gets really quiet. So that's pretty fun.
That's awesome. That's definitely the goal for you guys, of course. Moving on to this new season, think back to last season a little bit. Made that Final Four, had a great season. What was your favorite memory from the previous season?
So this is going to be a little controversial. My favorite memory was probably playing Nebraska at Nebraska and having that 5-set, like just barely getting that loss, because those are the moments that you look back on that drive you in practice, that drive you to do all these things. So I'd probably say that that was a really cool moment, because it was, 5 sets, tough game, and we were able to learn so much as a team to be able to catapult us further into season.
For me, it was Penn State in the tournament. I think it was a Sweet 16, because it was our back-to-back times playing them in Sweet 16. And I think our 3rd set, it went crazy, extra points. I had to go back and serve, and I think I got a ball up, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm playing defense now. But yeah, that was probably one of my favorite ones. And it was so loud in the field house, I could barely hear myself think. So.
Awesome. Well, we can't wait to see you guys play this season. Thank you so much for your time, Devyn and Sarah. Hope you enjoy the rest of your Big Ten Media Days.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much.
York is actually a very large junior volleyball region, and so it's constantly growing. There's a lot of girls playing. We sold out all of our camps this season, so that right there has shown the growth. But I have a 6-year-old daughter, and she's already interested in playing, and so I think that the more that we expose the youth, and that's our #1 goal as we try to continue to increase attendance, is how do we bring in a youthful audience so that they buy in at an early age and want to see not only the growth of the program, but themselves potentially in a Rutgers jersey in the future.
So when you see those young fans in attendance, how much belief does it give you that, as popular as the sport has become over the past couple of years, that there's even more room for growth?
Well, I absolutely think so. And I actually got a call this past summer from our school bookstore because they were saying they sold out of the youth volleyball shirts that they had sold there. So we constantly have parents asking where they can buy gear and how they can be representative of Rutgers volleyball, which I think is such a huge display of affection towards our program and our players, but also that, again, that these players can see themselves on the court in the future.
So as one of the most easternmost schools inside the Big Ten, you could certainly argue that your team, Maryland, and the West Coast schools will be most affected with the addition of the 4 West Coast schools by travel and logistics. How, as a program, can you try to offset that for your players who are obviously trying to balance academics with athletics?
Right, Rutgers is an extremely challenging academic institution. We're one of the top-ranked public schools in the country, and my players are in really solid majors. We're in bio majors and equine science majors, and all under the sun. But we have a really strong academic support system that allows us to make sure we're in appropriate classes that can help. Make sure we regulate our amount of missed class, things like that. But we're going to do our best to make sure our off days align. We take Mondays off so that we can focus on Monday as an academic day. But I think the travel, like anything else, everyone's going to have their own challenges, as long as the first year is always going to be a learning year. So we'll take what we learned this year. And we have one trip out west. So.
And it's a cool trip. You have a Friday, Sunday at Washington, at Oregon, two gorgeous places.
I've actually never been.
And
really
I was going to say, probably
yeah.
a spot that a lot of your coaches and players have never been to. How much are you looking forward to that aspect of what this expansion means for the student athletes especially, and the experiences that otherwise they may never have been able to enjoy?
Well, I think in twofold, it allows us to recruit from areas of the country that historically we haven't been successful recruiting from. We've always been open to the California schools because typically if you're going to go play out west, you tend to want to go to Southern California in preseason. But we've seen a lot of interest from the Pacific Northwest and players, especially in this 26 and even in the 27 class, because now they know they can play in front of their family and friends at least throughout their career. So that's a great opportunity. And our players who grew up, Florida, Texas, maybe they've never taken those trips before either. So I'm excited for that. My assistant, Ryan, he was bummed that we're not going to USC and UCLA because he grew up in Southern California, but I told him, hopefully in 2025.
Future years,
yeah.
For sure. There's been a conversation about kind of the difference in style between West Coast volleyball and those schools coming from the Pac-12 to the Big Ten. How much legitimacy do you think there is to that conversation that the West Coast is a little bit more about strategy and perhaps massaging points in and out, whereas the Midwest and the East Coast volleyball is more about size and power?
I think there's definitely legitimacy to that. But the coaches on the West Coast who knew that this transition was coming, I feel like they've prepared for that through the recruiting of the past few years. USC, for example, Oregon, they have some really players that could easily transition into other programs that have historically been in the Big Ten. So yes, there is a difference. There's a nuanced style to more stylistic, potentially ball control, but shottier. And the Big Ten is a bully league, right? So power is king, height is king, but I think that they'll transition nicely.
Some of your players are just making their way into studio now. We don't see a lot of underclassmen. It's usually seniors or grad students, but Zora Hardison is with you here today. Tell us a little bit more about her as not just a player, but as a person and someone you obviously have a lot of respect for to represent your program on this stage.
It's an interesting story with Zora. I saw her play. She was playing down a club season, and so a younger age group. And I offered her after watching her play one set. And she was a basketball player, and she was blocking people with one hand. And I was like, well, if she can block with one hand, she can block with two. And so when she came on her official visit, some of the questions that were asked were like, you guys fly to games? There's just a lot of things that she was learning throughout her visit process, but she's been a wonderful addition to the team. And last year, with the injury that we sustained in the midway through the season, she's had to step in and fill some pretty big shoes, and she did that very nicely. And now she's very motivated to be the best of the best amongst the middles in the Big Ten.
I'm assuming that if you could, those would be the kind of recruiting trips that you like to make. Frees up a lot of time for a coach if you're there watching one set before you're ready to make an offer.
I know. I think her mother was upset with me afterwards because all the other coaches were lined up afterwards, but it was a good recruiting trip for me.
Obviously, the transfer portal has been huge for all of college sports, volleyball. You have a transfer athlete with you and Borellis. Why is she the right fit for your program?
We were looking to fill another setter role, and I had recruited Allie originally before she committed to her previous institution, and it was during the COVID recruiting cycle, so wasn't able to visit, wasn't able to meet in person, and so ultimately chose her other institution. And I remember saying to her when she called to say to us that she wasn't choosing Rutgers originally, I was like, well, if you do ever transfer, please keep me in mind. And she did, and she's been a wonderful addition to the team, and I expect her to play a real leadership role for us this year.
The transfer portal, you'll see it nearly every team in all of Division I, certainly toward the top. Everybody has at least one or two transfer athletes. We've gotten a little bit used to that. Now we're throwing revenue sharing on the coaches' plates as well. We're not sure what that's going to look like. How do you kind of address the unknown and how it affects your program while you're still getting ready on a day-to-day basis to try to build the best volleyball program you can build?
And there is still a lot of unknown, and I feel like it changes on the daily or weekly at this point. As a head coach and as the manager of this program, I'm just trying to put us in the best position possible to be successful in the future. Rutgers is fully committed to the sport of volleyball, which I very much appreciate. And so I know we have a working group on campus that is going through all of the different options that we have from a revenue sharing standpoint. But I think these players are joining this program not just for the opportunity to share in revenue. I think they're joining this program. I know they're joining this program because they want to be the first in other ways, and they don't want to be the first ones to necessarily receive a paycheck, which they will hopefully be, but they want to be the first ones to put the banners on the wall and first opportunity to really put Rutgers volleyball on the map. So
I know most programs, most coaches, most players love the intimacy of their smaller on-campus gyms and fans being right on top of you, but you do get to play some of your home matches at Jersey Mike's Arena as well, which has become such an amazing home court edge for not just you, but for the basketball team as well. How special are those nights when your home games are in that gym with a lot more people able to watch the product that you're putting on the court?
And Jersey Mike's Arena is a wonderful venue to play in. Obviously, College Ave Gym has a lot of significant history to it, being built on the birthplace of college football. But we have majority, I would say 90% of our matches this year will be in Jersey Mike's Arena, which is exciting progress for the program. But it's a great fan experience. It's a wonderful venue for our players to play in. And obviously, Big Ten Network is able to put on a really good viewer experience as well.
All right, Caitlin, let's finish here with the success from last year, the upward trajectory that your team is on, the roster that you have returning. What's the balance between you setting goals as lofty as you can possibly set them, but also realistic and reachable for you and your program?
I think we've talked about this as a program, and obviously we're starting preseason next week. We do have 8 new people, 6 true freshmen, so we are younger again. But this year, 2 years ago, it was to not finish in last place. We've accomplished that, and now it is to take those steps towards the middle of the pack. So how do we do that? It's beating those teams that we feel that we were equitably competitive with last year, and then hopefully upsetting a few teams along the way. So.
Adding some more top 25 AVCA wins to the list. Caitlin Schweihofer, appreciate the time. Wish you and the Scarlet Knights the best of luck in 2024.
Perfect, thank you.
And you'll have plenty of opportunities to get those top 25 wins early. Take a closer look at the schedule. Wisconsin, Nebraska, USC, Washington, and Oregon. That's just the month of October. Then you get Purdue twice in a short period in 2 weeks in November. Plenty of challenges, plenty of opportunities for Rutgers and the Scarlet Knight players. And 2 of those players are standing by with Elena and Holly.
Thanks so much, Rick. So excited to welcome Borellis and Zora Hardison here today to chat with me and Holly, Rutgers student athletes. Welcome to Big Ten Media Days. We're so thankful to have you here. Allie, I want to start with you. Welcome to the Big Ten. I want to hear a little bit about your decision to come join this conference and just kind of that excitement to be a part of this.
Yeah, no, for sure. So I'm from Michigan, and so I've always grown up around Big Ten and around kind of that atmosphere. So finally, when I got the chance, I kind of hopped on it, and I think it's super exciting to be around this kind of group of people and this competitive mindset and being around the fans that just grow up loving volleyball. And I think for me, that's a big thing for me, and I'm just excited to be around it and be in that atmosphere.
Zora, this is a program on the rise. Obviously, you were inserted into the lineup late in the season. How much confidence did that give you heading into the spring and this new season?
Honestly, it was a blessing in disguise. I think from what I learned last season will help me with the newcomers on the team, the transfer, and our new freshman middle. So being able to share that experience with them, I think will really help me and them with the game.
What has your focus been this kind of spring and summer? You started to see an increased role as the season went on last year, and now kind of expecting that even more from you. What has your focus been in the gym this summer?
Honestly, I think strengthening our serves for the game, our out of system, I think has definitely progressed. And just building trust. Trust is a big thing that we've been working on, and I think you'll see it in our season.
Allie, when did you join the team? Have you started in the gym with them?
Yeah, so I was there, I got in January. So middle of January, right when spring season started, I've been there. So I've been there for a few months now.
And what has been the biggest adjustment?
I would say there's a lot of adjustments. I feel like New Jersey as a whole is very different from where I've grown up and where I went to school previously. So it's definitely been different, just the people, the city, there's a lot more to do. And yeah, just being around these type of people is definitely different. We're all from around the United States, so that's also super cool. But yeah, I feel like Big Ten volleyball and just the North is definitely a lot different.
Zora, you experienced a big win last season over Minnesota. Can you just bring us back to that moment and tell us a little bit about what kind of clicked for the team and how that match what that felt like?
Honestly, it was just a lot of trust. I think we all looked like in each other's eyes and like knew like this is our moment. And like every point, we just took it one point at a time, like saying like we got it, just reassuring each other. And I think that definitely helped us win.
This is a program that's broken attendance records, has a lot of momentum, 8 new players. How do you welcome them into the new culture? You're one of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can go first. I think coming as a newcomer, it's hard to kind of put yourself out there without like stepping on toes. So at least for me, I just wanted to come in and show what I was capable of, but without like coming on too strong. But I think knowing that we have a lot of freshmen coming in is just showing that like it's different. It's harder than what you've done previously, but if you count on us as a family environment and understanding that this is like a competitive environment, like you're gonna thrive and you're gonna do incredible. So I think Zora can attest to this, but I feel like we're a very family environment and we always count on each other, and even outside of volleyball, like we're super close. So just bringing that in to everyone and showing us like what our standards are is definitely gonna help us a lot.
Yeah. I think the sophomores that are sophomores now, we definitely saw last year what we don't want to happen and what we do want to bring on to next season. So I think showing them like, hey guys, like this is what we want, this is what we don't want, and then more stuff to make us better.
Give us a little bit of a glimpse like inside the Rutgers volleyball gym right now. What does that culture look like? What does the gym look like? Just give us some insight on your team right now.
Yeah, I would say that we know that we can win. Like we know that we've hit all the levels that we want to hit to get to where we are today. So I think at practice, we always talk about like having that winning mindset. It's not just you're just here to get reps. You're here to learn. You're here to get better. And I feel like we bring that into especially the new people coming in. It's like, this is what we want. This is what we're capable of. In order to do that, we need to put the work in. And I feel like it's just competitive and everything is intentional. I don't think we're just there to just be there. We're learning. We're seeing what works and talk about last year. I wasn't there, of course, but knowing like what they did and what didn't work and what worked and just using that to help us.
You have 4 international players that are going to be on the program. How does that culture blend into yours?
Yeah, it's definitely different. And I think if you hear it from like an outside perspective, it's kind of scary. It's like, oh, like they're so different. But in reality, they're people and they want to learn. Like they want to know what our cultures are like. And Alyssa Kinkilla has been here for a while, and she's just such a bubbly personality, like so easy to talk to and very competitive. And at least for me, it's really cool to hear about what their volleyball experience is like over there and how they can bring that into our program. So no, it's just exciting. I feel like exciting is just a big word that we talk about, and just using what they can to bring to the table and how we can help them adjust. So.
Got a couple new teams entering the conference this season, some West Coast teams, super excited about that. Are there any matchups, Zora, that you're super excited to play against, or any gyms that you're looking forward to playing in?
Definitely USC. I've been a big fan of them, so being able to face them across the net, it's very exciting.
What about you, Allie?
I'm definitely excited to get out to the West Coast. I've never been out there ever, and I've always wanted to. I think Oregon and Washington will be one of the most incredible experiences, at least for me. But I'm from Michigan, so I'm really excited to play up there as well.
You're in a program that's building, gaining momentum all the time. What were the focuses during the spring, you joining the team?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like definitely just leaning on each other. I think even though it is a sport, it's still a family, and you're with them so much. And I think just relying on each other to use what we've learned. And I think spring is a time to really focus on the little things and the little things that didn't work last year. And so really being able to nitpick those and then bringing that into the summer and working together, and then also bringing that into the season. So yeah, just the small things, I'd say.
I think last year we were taking sets away, but now in the gym we've been focusing on key points to finish the game. And I think we definitely will this season.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. Not just the set, but take that whole match. That's a great mindset to have. Zora, you're already playing in this conference. Can you tell us just a little bit about, give a little bit of advice to some of those newcoming schools about what it's like to play in the Big Ten? Every single night is going to be a tough match. There's never a gimme. Give some advice to some of those new schools joining the conference.
Honestly, just believe in yourself, trust in your training. You're here for a reason. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's some good advice. I'll definitely give that. Okay, give us a little bit of an insight on what Rutgers volleyball is as people. We know what you guys are like as players, but give us some insight on kind of your team culture outside of the court as well.
Yeah.
Allie, you can start just joining this program
Yeah,
now.
no, for sure. I feel like coming in, it's hard to make relationships, I'd say, for probably everyone who's transferred. But I would say everyone is just so open to making relationships. I feel like a lot of schools have their like little niche groups and like who they're close with, but I feel like we do a really good job of just talking with everyone and bringing everyone in. Like if we're gonna go to a movie, it's like put in the group chat, like we want everyone there so we can build that culture. So I would say it's definitely, I keep saying this, but just a family-like environment. Like everyone is super close, like you can be real with each other. And I think a big thing we talked about this year is just not taking stuff personal. And I think once you have that family mindset outside of volleyball and you build those relationships, then there's no personal sort of things like on the court. Like if you say something, it's from a good heart, good intention. Yeah.
I think our team is a bunch of everything. Like if I want to go fishing, I have Anna. If I want to try new food, I have Kinkilla. And I think we're just there's a lot of complex, different things we like to do, and to share it,
yeah, we're all different, but it all works.
Yeah.
This season, you get to play in a bigger gym in front of more fans. What kind of opportunity is that for you guys?
I would just to get our name out there. I feel like we're finally at a stage where we can thrive and we can win. And so knowing that people are seeing that as our fans is just very heartwarming. And coming from a smaller fan base, I guess, in a sense, it'll be just super cool to be there and live in the moment and just be there with your teammates. So, yeah.
We've definitely seen this program over the last couple of years on the rise. Definitely great job from Coach Schweihofer. Can you give us a little bit of insight on what it's like playing for her as a coach, what you like about playing for Coach Schweihofer?
Yeah, honestly, she's just a great person overall. If you need her to be blunt, she's there for you. And I think she's also brought in amazing coaches. We have Abby, a great strength and conditioning coach, Erica. We're all just very on the same point, and I think that helps during season as well, staying together.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Zora and Allie. We've loved having you here today. Can't wait to watch you this season. Enjoy the rest of your time here at Big Ten Media Days.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Leah Johnson effect. This is the real Leah Johnson effect as the Michigan State coach is with us. Things certainly trending in the right direction for your program. What are the barometers of success for you that you can evaluate? And more importantly, how do you keep them rising?
Yeah, great question. And thank you. I appreciate that. I don't know if it's my effect. It's more the athletes, the community, the institutions. I mean, it's the effect that just Michigan State has. And it attracts great people, and we're continuing to attract great talent. And I think that's the linchpin. You know, what makes you great is the people you do what you do with. So I'm lucky enough to coach a sport, and I get to do it with some great young women who each year are more and more talented.
And the wonderful thing about winning, not only the fans show up, but the recruiting avenues get opened a little bit as well. How have you seen your success over the past couple of years manifest itself on what you're seeing when you're out on the road recruiting?
Yeah, I think our brand is stronger right now. I mean, as you saw with the attendance records, breaking 9,000 one match, there's attention that we weren't getting previously. And the conference itself garners so much attention as well. But at an institution like Michigan State, where the fan base is so strong, it has a ripple effect. And I think with recruiting, just getting that call, having one call makes a big difference. And we're getting the first call with some really high-level talent.
Talk about high-level talent. We showed at the beginning of our broadcast here the all Big Ten preseason team, and then the teams that are ranked inside the top 6 in this league. You could argue they could be ranked top 6 inside the nation. As a coach, when you know week in and week out what you're going to face in the Big Ten, how do you make sure that it doesn't overwhelm you, your staff, and most importantly, your players?
Yeah, I think there's a cadence to what we do. You know, it's going to be a grind. There's not a night off. You'll hear that from everyone. But really, it's how we go about our business, and that we build a cadence to our weekly schedule, to the way we train, to the way we prepare. And that way, each match feels routine in a sense. And our job is to continue to raise and elevate the quality of play in our own gym before we take on that opponent. But when you have a healthy cadence and a healthy flow, it's very easy to go in and battle every night. Doesn't mean you're going to play your best, but it means you're going to show up the same.
Cadence is interesting because I think one of the buzzwords is another C word in all of college sports, and it's culture. You kind of touched on that at the beginning and what Michigan State as a whole is as a culture. But for your volleyball program, what culture do you want to define this program and this team?
Yeah, so we have three core values. We're going to serve one another. I'm going to do my best to make you great. That is my mission. As a coach, that is their mission as teammates, just to serve one another. We're going to grow, making sure we're always reaching toward our next best, chasing our potential, constantly on search of the better. And then we're going to honor where we are and who we were before we arrived, who we're becoming while we're here, and who we hope to be when we leave. And that is all encompassing of every step we take at Michigan State.
Obviously, that's a step looking at both the past, the present, and the future. And now we start to look into the immediate future in the Big Ten, which is a huge change with the addition of the 4 schools, a lot more travel, more great pedigrees in this league. What was your initial reaction? First, when you heard that USC and UCLA were joining, and then when you heard a year later that Washington and Oregon were also going to be part of that expansion.
Yeah, I mean, I think the nice thing is being in the Big Ten prior to that happening, you already know you're in the best conference in the country. And so to some degree, it's just more of the same, right? Like you bring different culture, different tradition, different region, but at the end of the day, it's great volleyball. And it's been great volleyball, and it'll continue to be great volleyball. So my job is to focus on the people in the green and white, make sure I have them prepared for whoever is across the net any night.
You've seen massive rise in popularity in your home gym. We've seen a massive rise in popularity in almost every home gym across the country. What's it been like as a head coach to watch it, not only on your campus, but to watch the sport you love become so much more universally loved by sports fans from coast to coast?
Absolutely. You know, one of the telling things for me is when I'm out recruiting and a parent will come up to me and they'll say, you know, I played basketball at State, or I did, you know, I was on the football team, and now my daughter's playing volleyball, and I love this sport. I had no idea. And it's those stories, those anecdotes of just at the grassroots level, at 6th, 5th, 4th grade, these parents watching their kids, and what were once sitting in front of a TV watching football, they're now pulling up the volleyball match. And it's just changed the game for us. And the energy that we have around that and around these young women being role models is really special.
Let's dive into some of those young women and the style of play that you would like them to have. We've touched on your culture, the way you run your program. What do you want the volleyball to actually look like when Michigan State is playing its best?
Yes. So there's 3 things that we talk about. We want to be disciplined, right, in the way we approach our skill, our position, our effort levels, right? We want to be strategic all the time. We want to be having a game plan, the ability to adapt, to change, to adjust, and to overcome, right? And then you want to be efficient. We want to do what we do at a very high clip and be able to repeat that over and over. So those are the 3 things that this year we hope define us. And we'll be talking about that when we walk in our first meeting on Wednesday to discuss, you know, all the logistics of the season and lay out the map, and then we hit the court running with those 3 things in mind.
And I'm sure when you talk about Evie Doezema, you do talk about efficiency, because she was one of, if not the most efficient and productive player for you a year ago. How much better can she get, and what does she need to provide for your program to be where you want it to be at the end of the year?
So I think Evie is still steps away from her best, and that is really exciting because she's already emerged as one of the key players for us. Evie can play any position, so you're going to see Evie hit the fast tempo stuff. You're going to see her hit the high ball. She blocks from pin to pin across the middle, and what we need from Evie is dependability and versatility. I mean, she's someone that shows up no matter what position she's asked to play, what role she's asked to play. She gives her same effort, attitude, mentality. She's so reliable, and when you know what it's like, you want to work with reliable people. You want to compete with reliable people. I want reliable around me, and so she brings that every day.
You also have a transfer student athlete with you in Taylor Preston, who spent time at Oklahoma. What do you like about her skill set? How is she going to fit into what you want to do as a team?
So Taylor, I think, is the epitome of a great teammate, first of all. There's inclusivity. She's very ingratiating. People are comfortable with her as a person. You know, everyone can be in her space and be themselves. That helps culture be great. Second, she's so skilled. Her all-around game is terrific. She can pass the ball well. She's a good defender. She's strong at the net. She scores front row, back row. And so she's someone that you just want on the court because she anchors you with her touch.
What do you focus on between now and the start of the year? We have, what, only 3 weeks and change before the season opener.
Yeah. Well, the nice thing is for me is our leaders have been focused all summer. And so I get to just kind of pick up where they left off. And quite frankly, my job is just to clear a bigger path for them to continue forward. So that's my focus. How do I stay out of the way and make sure their resources are available, that their access is available, and that I just kind of be the bumpers for them, make sure their ship's going the right direction, provide support when I can. But it's a very special group, and I'm excited to compete alongside this team.
We'll give the viewers a closer visual look and a more in-depth visual look at some of the notable games on your schedule in just a second. But your non-con, I'll start with, it's highlighted by Florida, Loyola Chicago, who is always an underrated national team, UNC, Duke as well. What do you want to get out of your team before you get into Big Ten play?
Yeah, I think this team is going to be a team that goes the distance a lot. Right, I think in past where we'll take a set, I think now we're pushing the envelope. We have the potential to last and compete longer and put ourselves in more 50-50 situations. So in those first games, I wanted to be tested early so that we really have to respond quicker in preseason, gearing up for that first conference match. There is nothing like the Big Ten, and so creating a schedule that has moments of simulation is really important for our mental stamina, as well as, you know, honing our skills, being sure we're game ready.
You also have one of the coolest start finishes in your Big Ten schedule because you're at Michigan in late September, and then all the way toward the end of the year, you play one of the preseason favorites in Wisconsin. I know you're not going to worry specifically about those matches until you get there, but when you look at your schedule as a whole, is it more, wow, this is really cool, or is it also a little bit of, I can't believe we have to deal with what we have to deal with every single Friday and Saturday?
No. I mean, if I thought that, I shouldn't be here, right?
Fair.
So I think but I understand the idea. I mean, in my quiet moments, maybe I do say that. But frankly, it's exciting, whatever order it comes, you know, because we will be where we're at in that moment. If we're ready for that opponent, whether it be opening at Michigan or closing at Wisconsin, we will be where we are based on our process, not theirs. And so I'm excited to face whoever it is. And as you know, the Spartans are preparing and, you know, ready to take on that challenge, I think it's exciting.
So based on that process, at the end of the year, how will you personally, how will this team evaluate whether 2024 is considered a successful season?
Yeah. Well, I think this year the team, in every year, postseason is something we're looking for. And I know we're close. They know we're close. And that belief is there. And the work ethic has been in full display all summer long. The intentions, the mindfulness, and the way they approach their training and their preparation. So I know they're dug in, and I know they want it, and they love being pushed, and I enjoy that too. So I'll do the pushing, they'll do the pushing back, and then we'll keep battling together. But ideally, we make postseason. No matter what, you'll see a team that improves all year because that's who we are.
Awesome stuff. Leah Johnson, we appreciate your time. Wish you and Michigan State the best of luck in 2024.
Just a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Thank you.
I have to deliver on a promise. I told the viewers we would show you a little bit closer look at some of the notable games on the schedule. So we get the jib camera over to the pillar to show you that the Florida game is scheduled for early September. I mentioned that Michigan game early in Big Ten play in Ann Arbor, followed up by a trip to Penn State, one of the toughest places to play, not just in the Big Ten, but in the country. And you take a look at the remainder of some notable games on Michigan State's 2024 schedule. We can talk about them, but players are going to be the ones that actually make the difference. So without further ado, let's hear from those players as we check in again with Elena and Holly.
Thanks, Rick. Holly and I are back this time, joined by Evie, Doezema, and Taylor Preston, Michigan State student athletes. Thank you so much for joining us today. Hope you've been having a great time so far at Big Ten Media Days.
Yeah, of course.
We
Thanks
just heard from your
us.
coach a little bit about last season and kind of what you're looking to carry into this season. Evie, being a returner, last season you kind of made some really big strides as a team and put the league on notice. What are you looking to carry into this season from that previous season?
I mean, I think Coach said it really well. We improved so much as a team collectively, and there was a lot of points during our season where we lost by just 2 points. And we talk about that a lot, that just 2 points is the difference, and that this year we need to work to close that gap and to just finish out some of these games, and then we're going to be just that much better.
Taylor, you're joining a program on the rise. What do you bring to this team?
I think one thing, especially just coming from, getting here in January, we've just worked so much on, especially us pins and hitters in general, point management. I think just, thinking before you swing, we play chess and that we work on strategies, and that actually really does apply so much to when we play. So I think shot chart and all that is a huge thing, but also confidence. I think something that we're so proud of is our success as a team, and I strive to be successful every day. And I just know our goal is postseason, and so success is a huge thing that as a whole I hope to bring too.
Evie, we saw you last year play just about everywhere on the court except for that libero jersey.
Yep.
And maybe setting. I believe you could do it.
I hope it's in there someday. I hope I get there.
But we saw you on that middle, the left pin, right side. You were just kind of the ultimate utility player last season.
Yeah.
Can you walk us through that experience and how you went into each match kind of ready to play all across the front row?
Yeah, I mean, my freshman year, obviously, I played all around outside. And when Coach Johnson came to me and was like, hi, how would you feel about playing right side or trying out middle? And it was really intimidating at first. And I was like, oh, I've never really done that before. I don't know how confident I'm gonna be there. But she reassured me and she was like, I know, I've seen you as a player and I know you can do this. And with just a little extra help in the gym every day at practice, it was such a smooth transition. And then she really kept me on my toes. Sometimes I would go into a game and maybe 20 minutes before I'd find out I'm playing one or the other that I didn't even know. So, she challenged me, but it really made me grow that much more as a player. And I love my role, being versatile and being able to be that player, whatever my team needs to help in any way, so.
She paid you the ultimate compliment. She said, you're very reliable.
Yeah.
What did you learn in terms of confidence that you could play at any moment, any position?
I mean, I'm honored that she says that. That's what I work for. So in my position, reliability is probably the biggest thing she was looking for. She doesn't need me to go out there and be the star player in every single position. No, she wants me to be able to fill that role wherever, whenever, or wherever she needs me. So very grateful for that comment.
Taylor, you're new to the program, but you've been training with the team for a couple of months now. So you're really in tune with the Spartan volleyball program. Yeah. Can you tell us just a little bit about what fans can expect to see when the Spartans take the court this fall?
I think there's a lot that, even just being here in January, we've grown so much. We train day in and day out, and especially in the summer, not having coaches there to coach us. Our captains, Nollan, and Julia Bishop, have taken control. They've helped us so much. They're honestly coaches in itself, especially when Coach Leah isn't there. We've just grown so much, and especially with all of our newcomers, we have so many new faces that I'm sure everyone is super excited to see. But we've just made so much progress. We've worked so hard, and so there's a lot to show, and I'm excited for everyone to see what we have to offer.
Who are your vocal leaders during the summer when it's just you guys?
Julia Bishop and Nollan, our captains,
Our captains are phenomenal, and Coach, even during season, pushes them and says, I want this to be a player-led team. And she almost gets on the captains before she gets on the team as a whole, because she wants the captains to be the ones pushing us. She wants us to rely on our captains and for our captains to rely on us, to be able to push our standard and set the standard, as we always talk about, and be that driving force rather than feeling like she has to be the one to step in.
You guys have talked about how close you are to winning those big matches. Mm-hmm. What are the details you guys are focused on to really push you over the edge?
I think you mentioned it, point management. We focus on that a lot. It's always good to take the big kill if you have it, but if you don't, not going up carelessly and being smart and being strategic.
Yeah, we emphasize a lot red light, green light, yellow situations. You don't always have to kill a ball if it's super off the net. Just like she said, being super smart is easy. You can just tip to score a point, that's all it is. So I think that's something we emphasize a lot in our gym.
Can you give us a little bit more of a glimpse inside your gym and your team, not just as players, but as people? What kind of makes Spartan volleyball players into Spartan volleyball players?
I would say it's a perfect mix of fun and intense. When we walk in the gym, we have music playing all the time. Most of our teammates will start dancing in the middle of breaks between points. We're always laughing and joking around with each other, making pop culture references. But you when our team is there to work. Everyone gets very serious and gets very intense, and we really do push each other so much.
Have you noticed that since joining the program as well?
No, yeah. I'm coming from Oklahoma. I feel like it's such a player-led team, like Evie was touching on. It's really cool just to see how well, we all work together and we come together we get in hard situations during practice, and even just this few spring games we played, the way we can just bounce back like this, we don't always need coach to come in and tell us what to do. We just, come together, figure it out, and then we get the job done, so.
How close is this group off the court?
Very. Super close.
And what do you guys like to do when you're not playing volleyball as a group?
I would say we all live with each other. So we all are in apartments with each other. And a lot of the time when we hang out on the weekends, like we're going to the pool together, or we're out playing spike ball or pickleball, or people like to hammock. Yeah. So we really like being outside and just being active with each other, and just, it's more often you'll find like 8 of us together rather than just 2. So it's really unified.
It's definitely one of the best parts of college athletics.
Yeah,
not only
exactly.
playing with your friends, but you live with them, you do everything with them. Those are your best friends.
Yeah.
You get to go in and play the best teams in the country against them every single night. We know this conference is a battle, and now we added 4 more teams for you guys to battle against. Can you tell us just a little bit about maybe some excitement or some thoughts when you found out those 4 teams were joining the conference?
Yeah, I think I was excited nonetheless. I mean, me just coming from Big 12 to Big 10 was just a huge change in general. I was, transferring, eager to find, more competition, more opportunities, and just to have those 4 more teams come in, opportunity right there. And I'm just so excited to compete against all these teams. And yeah, I mean, just for me in general, I'm excited to play in the Big 10. So I don't know if you have more.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I can't wait for more competition. I mean, that's what the Big Ten's all about, is just having great competition. And I've heard they're great teams, and I just can't wait to play them and have them come to us and go there and just have that opportunity.
Do you have a favorite venue besides your home gym to compete in?
Personally, I like to go to Chrysler just because of the rivalry. Like our fans get so intense, their fans get so intense. Just playing them is just so competitive, not because they're a good team, but because of the atmosphere it brings and the fans and how devoted both Michigan and Michigan State fans are to being at those games and cheering on their teams.
Taylor, are there any venues you're super looking forward to playing in, or any matchups you're looking forward to this season?
Obviously, I'm excited to play, the team down the road from us, but that's just obvious. But I mean, I think honestly, in the end, I'm just super excited to play in Breslin. I've just heard so much talk from, my team, everyone, just how exciting it is, how intense it gets, how diehard our fans are. So just to be able to finally experience that in the fall is something I'm definitely excited for.
Okay, both of you. Evie, you have a little bit more experience with this, but Taylor, you've had it for a couple months now. Tell us your favorite thing about playing for Coach Johnson.
I think one thing personally that she's already instilled so much in me is confidence and leadership. I think, with all of our values we hold and all of the things, even just herself, having her as a role model and as our leader, she just builds so much confidence in me. I feel like I've already seen such a change in myself and confidence level since I've gotten here in January, and I think that for sure, just her leadership is just something that is super cool to play for and represent.
Yeah, I think with that and going off of the versatility, she's not afraid to mix it up. She likes to run a lot of different plays, and just if something isn't quite working, or if she just doesn't feel like it is the best it can be, she's not afraid to just switch it up and be like, hey, you run this, let's just see how it works out. And I mean, will you mess around? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but she's just very open to just running whatever we can and keep working until we find the best thing that's for our team.
All right, and finish it off with, what is the main goal for this season? What do you guys go in every practice with? This is on your mind. What's the goal at the end of the season?
Postseason.
I'm pretty sure we say that every single practice is what's our goal, what we're gonna do, and every practice we work hard to make sure that happens. So yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much for your time today, Evie and Taylor. It's been great to chat with you. Can't wait to watch you this season, and enjoy the rest of your time at Big Ten Media Days.
Great. Thank you so much. Thanks for having us.
Penn State head coach Katie Schumacher-Cawley, you've had a chance to watch the excerpt of that doc, which we will be premiering here on the Big Ten Network in a couple of weeks. The memories that it sparks for you specifically, or what?
Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable, and that I don't think it will ever happen again. And I'm just so lucky to be a part of this tradition, and trying to keep what Coach Rose started, and the foundation that he led, and to move it forward.
Obviously, you moved it forward in the first couple of years with back-to-back Sweet 16 showings, continue to have an amazing home record inside one of the best home court advantages in all of college volleyball. How would you compare where this program is right now after 2 seasons to where you thought it would be after 2 seasons with you at the helm?
I had no idea where it was going to be, but I'm happy with where we are. I thought we've done a really good job recruiting. I'm really proud of this senior class and excited to see what they're going to do. I think that they're great leaders and they've set the tone for this group this season.
You've seen it from a lot of different perspectives. You're a national championship player, an assistant, head coach. Where has women's volleyball changed the most since it became the sport that kind of dominated your life?
I mean, it's amazing, and thanks to the Big Ten and everyone that puts in the effort here to put us on TV and to have these players get the exposure that they do. I think the sky's the limit, and adding these new teams is only going to help and help grow the game and make the conference even more competitive.
In terms of growing the game, how much difference have you seen in not just the age that you recruit at high school, but maybe even younger in youth camps and clinics and club sports, and the added interest in volleyball, and maybe the way that it does ultimately affect how you recruit for your program?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think everyone's playing now. I have 3 daughters, and the youngest is 10, and she has all her friends playing now, and I think it's fun. I think these girls are really great role models to look up to, and now with the pro leagues going on as well, it's been exciting times for volleyball.
It seems like we should have seen this coming when you see the athleticism, when you see the unbelievable positive attitude, mindset, and the great role models that these women turn out to be. But would you have believed me if I had told you 10 or 15 years ago the sport would be as popular as it is right now?
Never. I never would have. And like I said, I'm just happy to be a part of it and to continue to help grow it and to make it better.
And now another seismic change. You touched on the addition of the 4 West Coast schools with national championship pedigrees, recent success. Oregon has been to back-to-back Elite Eights. How do you think it changes what you have to do as a program in 2024?
Well, I mean, we still have to win matches. I think those teams make it a lot tougher. But, I think we have to do a really good job being prepared and preparing our athletes the best we can. And this is the best conference in the country, and you have to be ready to go every night.
How much truth is there to the statement that it's a different style of volleyball, and how much do you have to adjust if there is legitimacy to that contrast between what was Pac-12 volleyball and what is now Big Ten volleyball with the 4 new schools?
Yeah, I just think there's a lot of great players everywhere. I mean, I think we've seen, with the addition of the 4 teams, I mean, they have exceptional players. I think the Big Ten teams now, everyone has great players, and I think it's just going to be who's going to be prepared the most and, find the ability to compete every point.
Yeah, the one constant, right, in not just volleyball, but all of college sports as of late has been change. And a few years ago, the transfer portal opened up, and it did change a little bit of everything. I mean, every major D1 program, certainly the best volleyball programs in the country, all have at least 1 or 2 instant impact transfer portal players. You have one with you today. How have you used that to your advantage?
Yeah, I mean, Penn State's a great place, and we're fortunate that players want to come here. And I've been very lucky with the players that we've gotten, and but they've also put the time in, and they're dedicated to Penn State, and I think they're loyal to Penn State.
So that's a little bit more manageable for a coach because you decide who you're looking for. Hopefully that athlete wants to come to you. The more questions surround pay for play or revenue sharing or whatever we are going to call it. It's a total unknown, right?
Yeah.
It changes every day. We don't know exactly how it's going to manifest itself. How are you preparing your program for the way that may affect you down the road?
Well, I think Penn State's always had the supporters, the great supporters that we've had that continue us to help Penn State. I think our athletic department is doing a great job in moving it forward, and I think being forward thinking and wanting to help the coaches as much as they can. But I still think a lot of people don't know what's going on.
So what's that culture like to be a coach at Penn State? I think about James Franklin and his program, who basically win 10 games every year, and folks obviously want more. You have Cale Sanderson and the wrestling program that does nothing but win national championships. Lacrosse, both men's and women's, on the rise. What's it like right now to be a part of this athletic department?
I mean, I think it's amazing. I mean, we share a hallway with wrestling, men's and women's soccer, and men's volleyball. And, everyone wins there. You know, it's competitive, and I think Penn State puts us in a position to do great things.
Do you feel extra pressure? And I guess the kind of pressure that you want when you share hallways with coaches who have winning percentages like that?
No, I'm lucky because I think they're all great people and great coaches and love bouncing ideas off of them. And, you know, everyone wants to see everyone do well.
Yeah, I think, and it ultimately goes up to Pat Kraft, who I met with at the end of May, who said, I want to win every single game in every single sport that we play.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a lot of coaches who are coming pretty close in State College for sure.
Yeah.
For you, obviously, you have some wonderful players. Jess Mruzik is kind of at the top of that list with all that she has accomplished so far. Two-time All-American, ranked top 5 in the Big Ten last year in kills and points per set. What's she like as both a player and as a teammate?
Yeah, I mean, I think Jess is a fabulous teammate, even better person, and you know, I think she puts her team first all the time, and I think that she's gonna have a great year and go on to be a pro, be an Olympian if that's what she wants to do, and I'm excited to see what she does this year.
You're watching some of her highlights right now, and you see some of that athleticism that we've talked about. You've played with and coached some of the best to ever do this. So what impresses you the most about her skill set when you think about some of the other greats?
You know, I think it's her ability to play 6 rotations. I don't think we see a lot of players that can do that today, but and that she works on her craft all the time. She's always in the gym. She wants to be better. She pushes her teammates to be better, and you know, if she pushes them to be better, they're gonna help her along the way.
Camryn Hanna also here, time at Clemson before joining your program. What did she add to your program, and where can she continue to contribute and get better in 2024?
Yeah, you know, I mean, Cam's a great athlete, and Cam has improved so much from last season through the spring, through the summer, and I'm excited to see what she can do. Cam can attack from both pins, and is probably one of the best athletes we've had in a long time, and you know, she's a special player.
Yeah, how much easier does it become in year 2 after you spend a couple of years at another program? And year 1, there has to be a little bit more of a learning curve before year 2, you can kind of really just let it out.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think she's aware of the conference now, and you know, the opponents that we're, you know, competing against, and she'll be ready to go.
Katie, your non-con includes Tennessee as the opener. You also have matches against Louisville, Kentucky, and Pitt, among others. I mean, we're talking about some of the best in the country over multiple years in recent history. Why play such a tough non-con when you have the Big Ten schedule that you also have?
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking about that now, but no, it's great. It will help us be prepared for conference, and you know, the goal is to be great in the Big Ten, and you know, we'll use the preseason learning and get better, and we'll be ready to go.
All right, so let's finish here. It's August 5th. The Tennessee match is August 30th. What do you feel really comfortable with regarding your team right now? Where do you still think you need to get better before you are season opening weekend ready?
Yeah, I'm comfortable because I know they've put the time in the summer. They were all there taking classes, working out, competing, helping one another. I'm confident that we're going to be ready to go on the 8th, but you know, I think as a team we'll have to figure out this lineup and see what the best fit's going to be, and you know, continue to push to get better.
Katie Schumacher-Cawley, truly appreciate your time. Look forward to watching you in Penn State throughout the course of 2024.
Thank you.
All right, let's take a closer look at some of the notable games on that Penn State schedule. Look at those first 4. Those are all non-conference games. They look like repeat after repeat of Final Four matchups in the NCAA tournament, not games you'd be playing in late August and early in mid-September. And then you get into Big Ten play. You have Oregon coming to State College, Nebraska. That's the game I mentioned at the end of the year. Also road trips to UCLA, USC, and Wisconsin. It is truly a daunting schedule, but a challenge and an opportunity for Penn State. And for more from the players who will take that schedule on, once again, we check in with Elena and Holly.
Thanks, Rick. Holly and I are back, this time joined by Camryn Hanna and Jess Mruzik, Penn State student athletes. Thank you so much for joining us today. Hope you've been having so much fun so far at Big Ten Media Days already.
Yeah, it's been fun. Yeah. Super fun.
Awesome. Well, we're so glad to have you here. We were just looking at your non-conference schedule, and that looks like a gauntlet. Which one of those games are you the most excited to play in?
I think we operate on a take it one game at a time thing. So I think Tennessee obviously is the first one. So that's one we're prepared for first. And then after that, we'll just keep rolling through, learning new things.
Yeah, I would agree. I think Tennessee has just been on our radar for such a long time. And We've never played there. I've never played there. My family gets to go. So I think we're all excited just to go to that one and get the season started.
Some new faces on your roster this year. Are you guys excited about that, and why?
Yeah, we are really excited. And they're like great people as much as they are great volleyball players too. So they definitely make it easy on us because they're just great people off the court. It's so easy to gel with them, and that makes volleyball so much easier too.
Have you spent the summer with them?
Yes,
Absolutely.
we have.
The whole summer.
And who's the vocal leader in the gym when you guys are together? I love it.
Yeah, I would say Jess or Quinn.
Yeah.
They're both really big personalities that bring a lot to the gym. I mean, just from a experience standpoint as well as just a leadership standpoint. So it's pretty easy to let them take the lead.
Jess, you're a veteran Big Ten player by now, entering your 5th season in this conference. Can you tell us a little bit about what it's like to compete in this conference?
Yeah, I mean, I think Coach Katie touched on it a little bit earlier. It really is a grind every single day, like night in and night out. You never know what could happen. And now with the addition of the 4 new schools, you really don't know what could happen. We've never played against them. They've never played Big Ten volleyball. So it'll be definitely really interesting this year, but we're excited. And that's why we're at Penn State. That's why we play in the Big Ten, because that's what we signed up for.
You're one of the best 6 rotation outsides in the country. What do you focus on every day in the gym to keep building on your game?
I try to beat myself every day. Like, I look back on yesterday's practice. How can I be that much better today in practice? And my teammates also make it super easy when I've got this one pushing me for the outside spot, and we're always battling it out for the position. So it's just easy to rely on them and know that they have my back, but they're also pushing me to get better every day.
Camryn, we saw you new to the program last year, and you just completely shined on the right side, outside, everywhere that we saw you. So it's so great to have you in this conference. What are you focusing on this season going into your 2nd season in the Big Ten?
Yeah, I think now that I know more about the competition and the grueling schedule that we play, definitely focusing on being the best I can be throughout the season, which means keeping my body in tip-top condition, as well as just being more well-rounded, so being able to play back row and bringing those things to my game.
You've been such an important utility player. You can fill in anywhere. Where have you seen the most improvement since last season?
Definitely with serve receive. That's been something that we've been focusing on a lot, because that was kind of something that I was very new to. So that's definitely been the focus of the summer and all of the spring. So looking forward to putting that on the court.
When we think of Penn State volleyball, we think of excellence. Obviously, we saw that little preview of just that incredible time in Penn State volleyball where no one could seem to beat them. Now we see some of your alumni playing on Team USA in the Olympics. What does it mean to you guys to see some Nittany Lions who were in your shoes playing in Rec Hall and now representing Team USA?
It really is crazy. We were just talking about this earlier today, and it's just awesome to walk into that facility and know that that's where they were. Like, they were in our shoes not too long ago, and they were sweating it out down in South Gym, just like we are now, and it's awesome. It really is a legacy, and that's something that we actually talk about quite a lot as a team, is just upholding that legacy and playing for people like Haley and Micah who came before us.
Being this is your last season, what are your goals?
Have fun and enjoy it. Like, it really does go by so fast, and we have big goals. We're a great program, but everyone in this country has big goals too, but it's important for us to just soak it in and enjoy it.
I think playing in college, you realize that you can't take it a whole season at a time. You can't look too far into the future, so that's why we play one game at a time, and we deal with the problems after that game and fix it for the next game, and after that it should roll pretty easily.
I was following along your team trip to Europe all over Instagram the entire time from my bedroom. So jealous. Please give us a little bit, like, what was your highlight of the trip? Where'd you go? What did you do? I want to hear from both of you. Just give me the rundown on the entire trip.
Oh, I would, for both of us, I think the highlight was shopping in Milan.
Yeah.
But I think we spent a lot of time, honestly, the time that we spent on the bus together, like, we were playing games or playing with our assistant coach, Mike. His child was with us, and oh my God, he was the life of the party. So I think that was one of the best things, that we just got to gel as a team, and even outside of all the traveling and the playing, like, that was really important for us to get to know each other better. And now we had an amazing summer after that, so it was awesome.
Yeah, our squad has been together since January with the 2 freshmen who graduated early, and then one of the transfers we added from Iowa State, she was able to join us for the trip. So it was just a good bonding experience for us, and it was awesome to obviously see once-in-a-lifetime things with these girls, and I think it did make us really close.
Yeah. In terms of the players that came on the portal to you guys, have they brought some things over from their program, and have you guys taught them more about your program?
I think it's a trade-off. They obviously bring things in, but we kind of show them the ropes of what Penn State volleyball is. It is hard coming into a new program, just trying to kind of like forget where you were before, because this is a new program. It's run differently. We do things differently. But I was lucky. I got to live with Maggie and Caroline for their first semester. So I was able to kind of show them how we do things, and they gave me really good feedback, which I was able to pass along, and I was giving them feedback. So it's just a good relationship there.
Yeah. So some new faces in the program, obviously some returners, and you've spent some time already kind of building that culture. Give us a little preview of what we can expect from Penn State volleyball this year. What are the fans going to get to see? What's that culture look like? Give us a glimpse into your gym.
You got this one.
Pizzazz. That's it. We're bringing it this year.
Mic drop.
Yeah.
Jess?
Yeah, I would second that. I think we're really fierce this year, and I think there's a lot of competitive fire under a lot of people this year, which I'm really excited to see.
Has the depth in the gym really pushed you guys to the next level?
Yeah, and it's something we embrace, honestly,
Yeah.
which is such a cool part of our culture.
Yeah, we talk about it all the time. Like, we go at each other for 2 hours a day, and then it's like, oh my God, she's my best friend afterwards. So like, it's definitely, I mean, that's why we came to Penn State, to play with the best of the best and to compete against the best of the best. So that's what we want every day.
And you play in one of the best environments, Rec Hall. I remember playing there. I never liked playing there because it was so loud, but it was so fun. Tell us what it's like a little bit playing in that gym. Jess, you played there now as it being a home gym and as a visitor. What's that experience like for you?
Penn State and Rec Hall was always my favorite place to play on the road, so I'm very lucky that I get to call it home now, but it really is insane. Like, that's the only way to describe it. You can't try to describe it without being there, and I think of our match against Nebraska, like, sold out. People are standing on the track, standing room only. It's completely packed. Loudest I've ever heard a gym, honestly.
It's super cool. I mean, it's a crazy environment because everyone there is rooting for you. I mean, there's a select few people that are there for the opposing team, but when everyone's rooting for you, it just gives you that much more incentive to give it your all, and because people want to see that. Like, they want to see you give it 100% because that's what Penn State volleyball is all about.
Do you have a favorite venue outside yours?
Oh, I mean, honestly, I like playing at Nebraska. I know a lot of people don't, but what they do for volleyball is really cool and really special. There's no denying that. So yeah, I like playing in Devyn.
Yeah, I haven't played everywhere yet, but I think Minnesota is one of my favorites. It's a really good environment.
Are there any matches that you have circled on your calendar at home that you're super excited to play? I know we said we take it one at a time. Give me a little bit of a preview here. Any matches you're super excited to play at? Could be any of those 4 new schools as well.
I believe that Washington will be our whiteout match.
And on senior night.
Yeah, and senior night. So that'll be.
So that one's circled.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say Washington. And then only a couple days after, we have Nebraska as our last one. So that's always a fun match.
Awesome, awesome. Well, give a little bit of advice to those new schools joining the conference. Jess, you've been here 5 years now. What advice do you have to them joining the Big Ten?
Move on quickly. You could have a great match on Friday, and then you've got to reset and do it all over again on Saturday, probably 10 times better than you did on Friday. So move on quickly, and you'll be fine.
I think knowing that everyone has their good days and bad days, so everyone's going to give you 100% of what they have that day, but know that the next time you play them, it won't be the same team. So.
Absolutely, some great advice. Jess, Camryn, thank you so much for being here with us today. We can't wait to watch you play this season and enjoy the rest of your time at Big Ten Media Days.
Thank you.
Today, continuing to take those steps in the right direction. So how do you best describe the progress that you've made the first couple of years in comparison to the progress you wanted to make?
Well, we're happy we've hit some stability, right? We didn't want to be a flash in the pan and have one good year and then take a step back. I think we all want to take the next step. We realize that we would like to make the tournament. That's always been a goal for us. But we're happy that we've been able to get to this kind of plateau. And now we're trying to take a shot this season. We have 8 seniors, got a lot of experience, a lot of returners coming back. last couple of years we've had some people have good years, you know, in 21, maybe 22, 23. We just we're hoping we could put it all together this year.
Has it changed the way that you've been received or the strategy that you've been able to employ on the recruiting trail?
Yeah, I think having that success over a number of years has said, hey, listen, this is a good program. You know, I think we've gained a lot of respect. You know, I love listening to Coach Loxley. He talks about it. Maryland, you earn everything. Nothing's given to us. And I think we have that exact same mentality.
Locke's a terrific guy, isn't he? He's maybe as much fun to be around as any head coach in any sport that I've ever been around.
My opinion is he looks like he's having more fun than he ever has. And so it's been fun to see him. And, you know, I think he represents our university so well.
Speaking of fun, how much fun has it been to be a head coach in the best league in a sport that is seeing the kind of popularity that it had never seen before?
I mean, it's a unique time. I've got 3 daughters, so to see women's sports growing, not just the Big Ten, but just the viewership, the number of supporters we're getting out from matches, watching the Olympics right now, and you see women's kind of sports carrying us in a lot of ways. It's been a tremendous opportunity for us to be a part of it during this time.
Yeah, last year, I believe, was the first time that the women's NCAA tournament in basketball also outrated the men's in terms of total viewership. I do want to ask what you, and if you spoke with any coaches, thought about what took place last year at Nebraska and seeing 92,000 people to watch a volleyball game. I know it was school-specific, but I'm sure it also meant a lot for everybody in this league and anyone who coaches this sport.
Yeah, I think it goes back to high tide raises all ships, or all ships. I think for us, I was happy to see Nebraska do something that was, you know, conceived in this idea, and I think a lot of people probably didn't think it was possible, and when they did it, it was great to hear other coaches talking about, hey, what's Wisconsin going to do now? What can Penn State do? So we were competitors for sure, but we also want to support the conference, want to make sure Big Ten volleyball remains the best conference in the country, and so happy to see people doing things and thinking outside the box.
Then you get to play that level of competition each and every night, each and every weekend inside this league. As you continue to ride this upward trend, how important is it for you year after year to pick off some of those teams that make the Final Four, that are top 25 teams when you face them, to build that belief that you can do it more and more often year in and year out?
I think that's where our program has grown the most. You know, at the last couple of years, we've been able to beat Wisconsin, beat Purdue, beat Minnesota last time for the first time. I think that just gives the team a little bit more belief going into matches. I think the biggest challenge this year will be a little bit more consistency, and then obviously 4 new additions to the conference makes it that much more challenging.
How much more challenging and how big of a change do those 4 schools bring with them?
They all have tradition. You know, 3 of the 4 have won national championships. I was there when I was at Penn State. We lost to Oregon in a national semifinal. But realistically, I think there's an unknown. You know, we've never played in those atmospheres. I've never played at Oregon. I'm sure they play a little bit different styles as well. You know, one thing that's nice about being in this conference for as long as I have is you know rosters pretty well, who's changed, how styles have evolved over the years. And, you know, honestly, we don't know a whole lot about some of the newcomers.
Travel is going to affect some schools more than others. Big Ten obviously has done really good work in making sure that there are not more than one long-term road trip for each school, but you're one of the easternmost schools in this league, so those trips will be the furthest for you and for Rutgers. Anything that you can do to kind of offset that travel for your players who are also trying to balance their academics at the same time?
Yeah, we feel like the schedule kind of gave us a little bit of a bonus. We go west to Oregon and Washington this year, but then we're home for about 2 weeks. So I think that is a huge bonus. I'm sure that was done by design. I obviously am a big coffee guy, so happy to go west in a really good coffee area. So I'm excited.
And really, for probably a lot of your players, you just mentioned that you've never been to at least one of those venues. For maybe some of your staff, a great opportunity to not just play against top-level competition, but also to see parts of the country that maybe they've never seen before.
100%. I think it's a unique experience. I think the group is very excited just about a new challenge, new chapter. Again, we have 8 seniors, but they get one last ride with a brand new conference, and I think that's really exciting.
Will the addition of those schools, all the challenges that you face in the Big Ten, affect the way that you schedule non-conference moving forward in the future?
Yeah, 100%. And we're trying to find ways to be home a little bit more often. I think we're also trying to play some midweek matches. I think everyone's kind of lowering the number of matches they're playing in non-conference to begin with. So we are trying to balance that out. I am really curious to see how it will impact the RPI. You know, you're having that many more teams that are coming into the middle of the conference, you know, and how we're able to get more teams in the tournament, I think is really, really important. So I think this year will be interesting to see how it plays itself out.
We've just seen so much change over the last few years, and one of the most impactful changes was the transfer portal and the way that it has impacted every single top-level team. How have you been able to use it, and what do you think it has done for the sport, either good or bad, over the last couple of years?
I think the transfer portal has been good. I mean, we don't really rely on it. We don't feel like we can build our culture off of it, but at the same time, we realize that people are going to move on, and that's okay, and we've been able to add some really impactful players. I mean, Samantha Schnitta this year coming in, we've got high hopes to have her be our point scorer and our leader. You know, Anastasia Russ came in and was all conference 2 years ago. So it is something that we've used pretty heavily, but we want to make sure we're also doing a good job recruiting people who want to be at Maryland and hopefully graduate and, you know, commit to growing our culture.
We'll hear from Samantha coming up in a little bit, an Ole Miss transfer that was kind of instant impact in year one. What's the area of growth that still remains for her, and what will you and this team need from her in 2024 to be successful?
I think when transfers come in, they're trying to learn how they fit in, and we're trying to make that transition happen as fast as possible. I think the numbers indicate that the second half of the Big Ten, you saw a different Samantha Schnitta. And so for us, we feel like she's learned the ropes. She is ready to carry us, and you know, I think she's excited to get this season started.
As we watch some of her highlights right here, what do you like most about her skill set?
She's really versatile, and one of the things that we were able to do last year is get her a lot of opportunities to score out of the back row. She's an incredible leader too. That's something that you don't see on film, but she is. You know, a lot of our leadership runs through her, and I'm happy she's a little bit more confident than she was last season, and I think she's going to have a great breakout season.
Senior setter Zoe Huang also with you, had her most productive year as a Terp in 2023. What's it been like for you to watch her career arc, and how much better can she be this season?
Zoe's been unbelievable. I mean, one of the things that makes me proud to be a coach is watching someone like her grow into what she's done. And that's not just volleyball, that's off the court as well. You know, she's a leader for our university, our athletic department. And, you know, at the end of spring, she was setting extremely well. So excited she's going to hopefully fill in a good serving role for us this year. But again, she's been a great leader for us off the court.
What other players should we get ready to hear the names of as you get set to start your season?
Someone who flashed some, late brilliance was Sid Bryant. She was a freshman for us last year, but came in and really helped us down the stretch in the last couple matchups. She's had a great spring for us. We're excited to see what she's capable of doing. Sam Sire is also another outside that had a tremendous career for us. Thrilled that she was coming back to do her 5th year. And then, again, Anastasia Russ, 2 years was all conference. We're hoping that she can put it back another run in her super senior year.
Early in this season, I know you have LSU and UCF tourneys, which are officially neutral site, but kind of road matches for you guys. But then you have your own event and 5 home matches, I believe, in a 12-day span. How important will that stretch be for you guys to build some momentum, to be at home, and to really get ready for the gauntlet that will be Big Ten play?
We are looking forward to the first matchup, going to a road environment, trying to get ready for what it's going to be like playing in the Big Ten. We're also trying to be pretty good. We have a veteran group, so we feel like we don't need to practice as much as maybe just getting prepared to play different styles against different teams. So with the schedule that's not as succinct, it's kind of all over the place, we feel like it's best suited for just an older veteran squad. And so we're trying to balance the ability to go win on the road, but also find ways to get good RPI wins in the beginning of the season.
How far ahead do you look? What's your philosophy when you look at that schedule and you're trying to figure out what needs to happen and what you have to manage in between one match to the next?
I mean, we've had most of our roster this past semester. In the spring, it was really nice to actually kind of figure out where you're going to be. I think scheduling's got later and later. You're not making decisions until April of May. So we have pushed those discussions back a little bit farther, trying to figure out what our roster is going to look like. And, I think we're pretty excited about this non-conference schedule.
How quickly does this time go between media days now and then camp's about to open, right? And you only have 3 weeks before the opener. How quickly does it go by, especially from a coach's perspective?
It's a little terrifying in a lot of ways. I was on a staff Zoom this morning planning for Thursday, probably do another one late night tonight. So, yeah, it's a little nerve-wracking, but this is a nice little break.
So where do you feel most confident in your team right now? And conversely, what are the areas that you feel like we're really going to have to shore this up if we want to be good from the jump?
We were always known as a great blocking and defensive team. I think one of the areas that we need to grow a little bit is trying to find ways to generate a little bit more offense. And so we've got some question marks in a couple roles. We've got more depth than maybe we've had, but we're really trying to find ways for people to step up and say, hey, this is my spot. I can lead in this direction. Again, Samantha Schnitta has kind of done that over the last year. So I think the biggest thing for us is finding ways to score some more points.
How will you evaluate what success is for Maryland volleyball at the end of 2024?
I obviously want to make the tournament. That would be a clear goal for us. But I also want to make sure that we value the student-athlete experience. We had one senior who's coming back for a super senior year, and she had opportunities to maybe move on, but she said she wanted to come back here in 10 years and bring her kids here to show what she built. And for me, that just means the world to what we're doing and why we're doing it.
Are you getting a little bit of extra FaceTime today because we ran the preview teaser for the doc about Penn State's 109 streak?
Yeah.
You were on the staff. First of all, you don't look old enough to have been on that staff at that point. But you also said it brought back some fascinating memories. It was great to hear from my perspective a guy like John Cook saying, I think it's something that'll never be done again.
I agree. I don't think it's possible. I think the transfer portal kind of changed that as well. Teams' rosters moving a little bit faster than they've been. So it's something that I look back on. You don't realize when you're in it that you're doing something amazing, but it was really it was great to reflect on it and tell some great stories.
All right, now try to do the same thing in College Park, because in this league, it seems like it should be really easy at this point, right?
Yeah, so simple. Yeah, just got easier, right?
Adam Hughes, great to catch up. Wish you and the Terps the best of luck.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
All right, and before we check in with the Maryland players, we are going to take a closer look so you can get a glance at what awaits Maryland on that schedule. Interestingly enough, the top game there at Penn State on October the 3rd. You only have to wait another week before you travel to Madison. That is a really easy back-to-back weekend of road trips and some of the other notable games here for Adam and the Terps. And for more on the players that actually have to undertake this challenge, we check in once again with Elena and Holly.
Thanks so much, Rick. Holly and I back this time, joined by Samantha Schnitta and Zoe Huang of Maryland Volleyball. Welcome to the studio. Have you guys been having a good time so far at Big Ten Media Days?
Yes.
Yeah, so far lots of fun. What's been your favorite station so far?
Ooh, that's hard. They're all a lot of fun. They're all very different, and so it's cool to get different experiences at each station.
I enjoyed when we did Heads Up with Emily Eamon, and it was really bad. Could not figure out the word pineapple, but
that's all right. I'm looking forward to seeing that on social media later. I'm sure we'll get to see that. All right, talking a little bit more serious volleyball stuff now. Samantha, you joined the conference last season, and we saw you be a really consistent force on the right side for Maryland. Can you tell us a little bit about joining the conference and kind of your first season in this league and what you look to carry into your next season?
Yeah, definitely. So jumping from the SEC to the Big Ten, I mean, who doesn't want to play for the Big Ten? So it was like super cool to get that opportunity to be a part of this conference. And in the beginning, I did have to try to find my feet, find the ropes, figure out. I mean, it's a huge block. Every team has a great block, and so finding what my role looked like on the team and what my role looked like in the Big Ten. And so doing that towards the end of the season was nice to figure out for this last season, going into my 5th season.
Halfway through the season, your coach said your confidence really grew. You felt more comfortable. How did that happen?
I think I did change my pregame ritual. I had been listening to a lot of music before, and I think switching it to more Headspace is like that app that helps with breathing and everything. Like being able to find my calm before going into the game really helped. And then knowing that everybody on my team cared for me just as much as I cared for them, and we all wanted to win. We were all on the same page, and so knowing that all of us wanting to win and how I cared for everybody on my team really drove me to be who I was.
You're both veterans in this program, only been here for 1 year, but you're a veteran in the volleyball world. Zoe, you've been at Maryland your whole career. Can you tell us a little bit about, once this season's over, what kind of legacy do you want to leave at Maryland? Zoe, I'll let you go first.
Well, personally, I'm really into the whole SAC space, so I'm really into getting the team involved with the community and getting prepared for life kind of after sports, so getting professional development, and we're getting internships. Like her and I, we got internships this past summer through Maryland Made, which is our career development program. So that's a legacy I hope to leave. I want everyone to be prepared for life after college.
Your coach talked, Zoe, about your leadership on and off the court. What motivates you in that area?
It was really hard, I have to be honest. I think when I was a freshman, I had no clue what I wanted to do, and I think that is what motivates me, because I think it's harder going into college than people realize, and you're expected to kind of know what you want to do and where you want to go. And I think I was so lost that at first finding those kind of people and finding those opportunities to grow really helped me want to make sure everyone else on my team that I support and I love, like, they have the same feeling.
And how has that helped you on the court?
Well, I've become a leader. I feel like I've become more vocal, more confident enough to tell, like, the underclassmen, like, hey, like, you got it, like, you're doing fine, especially, like, when preseason gets tough or, like, when spring gets tough. So I've become more confident and become a leader more so, I hope.
And Samantha, I know you've only been here for one season, but Coach Hughes even pointed to you as being a leader on the court. Can you walk us through a little bit about how you were able to use your experience and kind of be a voice on the court for your teammates?
Yeah, I think sometimes people, I don't know, I think I have that energy that people look to me in their own way, and I feel like I set a standard, and I try to try not to ask anybody to do something that I'm not willing to do. And so knowing that and setting that standard for myself, I think helps with being on the court and setting that standard on the court and being able to ask that of my teammates, knowing that I'm gonna do it with them. I'm gonna do whatever's hard with them and we're gonna do it together.
How different is it heading into a season with a veteran group, a lot of returning players?
I think it's awesome. I think it's super exciting for us all to be able to do it together for our last season. And I think it sets kind of that tone for our freshmen coming in, that we have been here and we've worked hard, but also bought into this program. And so for them to believe in us, that buying into this program is the best thing you can do and gives you the best experience.
When I think of Maryland volleyball, I think of a brick wall block. My entire playing career, I was like, am I ever gonna be able to beat these blockers? Can you guys give me a little bit of insight into your practice gym? Zoe as a setter and then Samantha as an attacker, how does that defensive pressure help prepare you for playing in Big Ten matches?
For me, I think it just makes me smarter. I'm like, I gotta do something. I gotta beat the block. I gotta do something to at least just make him late. It doesn't have to beat him, but if I can just make Anastasia late, that's my goal.
Yeah, and it gives me new insights so that when we go against those big teams like Nebraska and Wisconsin, we have the same kind of mentality on the other side of the net in our 6-on-6 play. So allowing those blocks to be as big as they are in our own gym allows me to work edges and work cuts and see the block better going in and bringing that confidence back into those bigger games.
Your coach has talked about your defensive kind of backbone that you've guys have built your program on that. How have you improved on the offensive side of the game?
I think we've gotten more aggressive. I think with that big block, you're able to find new tools, and we added Ryan Ammerman to our coaching staff also last year, and he has brought a new insight to being able to throw the ball and being able to mix those shots in. And so with that big block, growing and just expanding that way.
We love hearing about you guys as volleyball players, but also off the court as people. Both of you smiling this entire time. I can't take the smile off my face talking to you two. So loving that. I'm already kind of know where this question's going to go, but tell us what your team is like off the court. Just what's your culture like?
It's definitely interesting. I think we all have super different personalities, but with those different personalities, we all are able to come together. I was telling somebody earlier, if somebody wants to go to DC or something, somebody will text it in the group chat and then 4 people might go. But it doesn't matter who goes because we're all comfortable with each other and we're all excited to go do that one thing together. So it's super cool to have that environment and be able to hang out with whoever on the team and know we all have each other's backs.
Yeah, I think it's super cool that everyone's kind of different, so you can kind of go to different people for different things. Like Eva Rohrbach, she loves music, so we always kind of go to her for concerts in DC, and then I feel like I like food, so I everyone kind of comes with me to especially Asian foods. I'm definitely the one they go to, hot pot, Korean barbecue, but everyone has different things that they're really into, so it makes it really interesting.
Do you have any team mottos or pillars that you guys follow?
The biggest one upon being recruited was be you, align with us. And so we all have one motto, one goal, one mentality, and we're all willing to do it together. And so to be yourself is to be okay, but then to still align walking into the gym, knowing that we have that end goal.
That's awesome. I'm going to think about that a lot later. I love that. I love that. Obviously, we have 4 new teams joining the conference this year, so that's super exciting. It's just going to get easier, right? Playing those 4 new teams.
For sure.
Right. Are there any games that you guys are looking forward to the most? Any venues you're looking forward to play at with some of those new teams?
I think they're all cool. I think all those venues that we're adding are super cool. I also think adding that level of competition to this conference, this conference was already fantastic to begin with, but adding 4 more teams that also compete, I can't wait.
Do you know anything about those 4 programs?
Not specifically. I know that they've all made it to Final Fours and they've made the tournament, and so adding that to us is
More competition.
More competition. You gotta love
More
it.
fun. It's more fun.
It's a lot of fun.
We love competing, so I
Yeah.
think getting the opportunity to even play teams that have achieved that type of success is really exciting for us, and it really gets to test how much we've grown as a team.
That's why you play in this conference, right?
Yes.
Because every single night you're playing the best of the best, and then in a couple of years, girls are going to be on the national team.
Yeah.
It's going to be amazing. So that's awesome. Are there any matches? I know you guys probably take it day by day, but are there any matches you have like circled on your calendar? You can't wait to play in this one. Maybe a gym you want to play in, or just a specific team? Any of those ones?
I think we both said Nebraska.
Yeah.
Nebraska at home. I think because it's also senior night, like I think it's going to be really fun for us to play Nebraska, like really good volleyball, and then also just like with our family and friends all around us.
Having so many
Nebraska
seniors.
at your home.
Yeah,
Okay.
for our senior night.
Okay.
So
Senior
having
night,
all of
yeah.
our seniors together one last time at home against like a really big competitor, like that's one that we're definitely circling.
Okay, I'm just hearing now, Zoe, it is your birthday.
Oh, wait. It is my birthday.
You did not tell us that
birthday.
before
Thank
this.
you.
Happy birthday.
Thank you so much.
What better way would you want to spend your birthday than in
Exactly.
Chicago getting to talk about some volleyball?
Love it.
How old are you today?
21.
21. Happy birthday.
Thank you so much.
Are you doing anything special? I know you're here today, but the rest of the week?
Might go out to get drinks. I don't know. I could do that now. maybe. It's just juice. We'll see.
I'm sure we'll do something as a team for her too.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we're so glad you're here with us today. Happy birthday.
Thank you so much. It's been fun.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us today. This has been so much fun, Samantha and Zoe. Can't wait to watch you play this season, and I hope you have a great time at the rest of Big Ten Volleyball Media Days.
Thank you.
Jim, I remember speaking with you at this event a year ago, and you talked about how important it was for your program to get off to a good start. So how were you able to do it, and how do you do it again in 2024?
Yeah, our players set it all up over the summer. They're training all summer. They don't let us coaches in there. So our captains really prepare our team over the summer well, get ready for it. And honestly, we start in the spring building the core of what we do. And you hit the road really quick and fast and get after it.
You've been a head coach, not just at Iowa, but in this sport for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
What's it been like, the journey for you to watch when you were a young or a first-year head coach to now, and watching what this sport has become and the popularity that it has garnered, especially over the last 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, it's what you dream about, to play in the best league and try to become the best and be around such great people. This is why I think coaches coach and players come play in this league. It's just an honor. We're so grateful for every opportunity, and every game is just a blast. It's just the intensity. You can't buy those kind of things. And it's still the sport, and it's a pure sport, great teamwork, and that's what I love about it, is what you do in the practice gym shows up on game day, and I love that part.
Guys like me can talk about the change. You've lived the change for a majority of your life. So going through all of that change, how do you keep it from being overwhelming and conversely actually maybe try to embrace it and enjoy it?
Yeah, ultimately you just control what you do control, and you don't spend a lot of energy on things you don't. We talk to our players about just bringing their best every day, just their best focus, their best attitude and best effort. And if you bring that, then wins will come, but you don't focus on those things we don't control. And you simplify things that way. That way you can enjoy the process, and you use those challenges, that you see the good in those challenges. You don't look at them as fearful. That's not going to help you. It's looking at that everything is an opportunity. And if you have the right perspective, you're going to have a shot to play on game day at your best.
Well, you certainly can't look at the schedule that Big Ten teams have now and be afraid of anything, because you'd be afraid of every night that you go out there.
Right. Yeah, I only look at the next one. I don't look at that whole schedule. I just look at that next one. I know, we play Liberty on the first game, and game by game. But it's such exciting to me. It's an opportunity, and looking at this league and how it's expanded, can't wait to see how it plays out over this season.
How do you think it will play out? Obviously, there's maybe a little bit more travel here and there are 4 programs that come in with incredible national championship pedigrees and recent success, certainly in the case of Oregon. But how much does it affect what you and your program do on a day-to-day basis?
Well, it's exciting what the West Coast school is going to bring to the whole league, but we're in the center of the league, so we take that and look at it as an advantage. We travel maybe the least, and so we're happy to be in the center representing Iowa. But I think it's just going to be a whole new journey of adding these teams and seeing our conference was already just incredible, and now where does it go? exciting. I think there's going to be a lot of eyes on our conference, and again, just more opportunity.
What do you want the culture of your program to be, and who are the players that kind of help you drive that culture?
Well, I brought two of them with me on this trip here, Anna and Michelle Urqhart, Anna Davis. You know, we talk all the time about treating each other extremely well. If we don't get that part right, the wins aren't going to come. And so, also, how do we train? How do we, attack every day and enjoy that process? I tell my players I want practice to be the favorite part of their day. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be hard, but I want it to be your favorite part. And day by day, you stack those practices on each other, and you're able to build something special, and it all starts with the players.
Stylistically, what would you like Iowa volleyball to look like when it's playing its best?
Yeah, joy is a descriptive word, but ultimately very dynamic offense that, we can bring to the table. We got a very dynamic setters on our team that can really change the game. And so we're a fast-paced offense, but we also switch it up. We run the middle more than almost any team in the country. So we kind of do a little bit of the opposite of what other teams do. And I think that makes teams have to prepare for us differently. But it all comes down to the players, them just executing and enjoying those big moments and not being afraid of them.
And perhaps part of that strategy is what you have in Anna Davis, one of the players that's with you here today. What does she provide for you and your program both on and off the court?
Everything. Tremendous leader, just a brilliant student. We call her the AKA CEO. She's going to run something. She is an incredible young lady and has helped build that culture. We talk often about our house. You don't see the restoration we've been building inside the house. And those things that we've done inside, I think, are going to really come out this season. And because of Michelle and Anna, they've been the parts to lead the way, to show you how to work hard and how to treat each other right. And I love what's been restored inside our home at Iowa, and can't wait to get on the floor.
So then you would describe yourself maybe as the architect and Anna as the construction manager, the project manager in charge of that construction?
She's got a hard hat on for sure. She's the hardest working girl in the gym for sure. And just all our upperclassmen are so bought in and dedicated. And that's what you got to get right, is that dedication to be the best and be your best. And so we've got the right character in the gym and the work ethic, and looking forward to watching them on game day.
We did just get to see some of her highlights. What's the best way to describe Anna's skill set on the court?
As a middle, you look at her height, she's only 6'1", 6'2", but she's the fastest player in the gym, and can run all night. So she's going to run a slide, as quick as you can run it, and you better have your running shoes on to keep up with her. She's always going to be a point ahead. She's never, going to be mentally slow. She's going to be sharp, and she's a great leader, and she's going to bring every player with her. And yeah, she's fun to watch.
Michelle Urqhart is the other player that represents your program here today. Really well-rounded player who is among the top returnees in terms of service ace percentage. What makes her such an important piece for your team?
Just great IQ, loves to study film, bugs us in the office all the time. She could be a great coach. Just loves the game. It comes natural to her as well. So those two things combined, just a student of the game and it come natural. It's fun to watch her play and compete. She switches into a different personality when the ball and the whistle goes. She's a pretty intense kid, and she's fun to watch.
Yeah, your players are listening, and I hear some nods, see some nods over there as they hear the way that you're describing them as well. We just saw Michelle's highlights as well, so I'll ask you kind of a similar question. When she's playing her best, what kind of volleyball is she playing?
Well, she'll serve you off the court and make you feel the pain of a tough serve, and she can pass now. She'll tool the block all day, and she's never going to give up, so it's fun to watch.
These players, others, examples of transfers that have obviously had impact at more than one places. How have you seen the portal affect not just your program, but college volleyball as a whole?
Yeah, we have 5 transfers. 4 came in the spring, so it's made a big impact. And for us, able to turn our roster, and get our roster really strong pretty quickly. And we had them all spring, so it's what the game is now. And I love our transfers who've come in and bought in, and proud to be an Iowa Hawkeye.
We touched on your schedule just a bit, but not a bad place to start. I believe you open in Puerto Rico just to get a little bit of that last summer sun before you really dialed in. Then you're back in Coralville for your own tourney, followed by the annual Cy-Hawks series. How much emphasis goes into that stretch when you return home and you have that Iowa State match, which I know, no matter what sport it is, if you're a Hawkeye, is remarkably important?
It is big. They talk about your biggest rivalry, and we go to that match before we even go to the Big Ten matches.
Yes.
It's packed every night. And we go to their place this year and really want to get after them. We've had 5 setters last couple of matches we played them, so looking forward to that. But yeah, the whole non-con is building this team and our identity, and looking forward to getting to Puerto Rico and enjoying that sun, before the Iowa winter. But it's, looking forward to the competition and the growth that'll happen through non-con.
And obviously every coach is looking forward to playing matches in their home arena.
Yeah.
You have one of the newest, coolest kind of arenas around. What's it like on game day inside Extreme?
Well, the Hawkeye fans is what makes it the coolest. It's a great arena. It's new and shiny, and I love our floor. Our players love, that Terraflex floor is really nice. But the Hawkeye fans are great. They're there. They're supporting us. They're blue collar. They know it's a work in progress, and they show up. And they're going to sell out the place as we get better and better. And that's who we really play hard for.
I believe your first home Big Ten match is against one of the newcomers in Washington, and that's the one that's been designated as a gold out. I know there's plenty of time before you get to that match, but that should be a pretty special night as well.
For sure. And I believe that's our first road match for them in the Big Ten. So yeah, I think it's going to be special. I think the nation's really going to have a lot of eyes on, our league in general, but the 4 new teams and how that all plays out. I'm interested to see as well.
Yeah, it's interesting that this league has been so good for the last couple of years. There's certainly the SEC has had some great runs. Pac-12 has been a really good league. But when you look at this league and you look at the teams at the top, I mean, you could make an argument that the top 5 or 6 teams in this league could easily, and many of them are preseason, inside the top 10.
Yeah, you look at our whole league and you look at our Olympic team. We've got majority of them are from the Big Ten. But yeah, the league is incredible. There's 3 different tiers of it, and everyone's fighting to work their way up, through this league, and it doesn't get easier with these 4 at it, but it's just a great opportunity, and it's where the best come to play.
What's the biggest focus for you and your staff, Jim? Once you get in there, you get ready to work with the players, and camp really gets to full speed, because you only have some 3.5 weeks before the Puerto Rico tournament starts.
Yeah, we'll be learning on a daily basis what our players can and can't do, and what we can do within our system and what we maybe hold back. But I love that part of getting everybody in the gym and us all working together collaboratively on how do we get to be our best team. It's the best part of it, and then you go test yourself on game day and see where you got to go from there. That whole process in the gym, a lot of people don't get to see that, but that's the best part, is the hard work, and then how do we, again, make each other better through that process.
You've probably answered all the questions in your career, lengthy career as a head volleyball coach. Anna and Michelle, we're about to hear from them in a minute. And for a lot of these players, kind of the first experience in this situation, did you give them any prep work or any advice as to how to handle these hard-hitting questions coming up from Elena and Holly?
Well, I just said be spontaneous. That's the best thing. And they're loaded with great answers. They're way more entertaining than I am. So, yeah, they'll be fun.
I love it. Elena's kind of gesturing to the players. Don't worry, they're not as hard-hitting as Rick's making them out to be. I promise we will be okay. Jim Barnes, Iowa head coach, really appreciate your time. Thanks for being with us. Best of luck to you and the Hawkeyes. Everybody needs a little bit of luck when you have the Big Ten schedule that you have to face. We talked about that gold-out game for the Iowa Hawkeyes. It is on October the 4th. It is Washington's first road match inside the Big Ten. But no time to celebrate even if Iowa wins that match, because 2 days later they're in Lincoln to face the preseason and one of the national favorites in Nebraska. Other great home matches for Iowa. You have Purdue, you have Oregon, and then the return trip for the Huskers at the end of November. Should be a lot of fun for Hawkeye volleyball fans to watch. And they're certainly going to be watching for Anna and Michelle as you send it back to Elena and Holly.
Thanks so much, Rick. Holly and I are back, this time joined by Anna Davis and Michelle Urqhart from Iowa Volleyball. Welcome. I promise we won't ask you super hard-hitting questions. We'll try to have some fun with this. Speaking of fun, Big Ten Media Days. What has been your favorite part of Big Ten Media Days so far?
I would say my favorite part so far has been all the Tiny Mike interviews, because they're just very random questions. Coach talking about spontaneous. Those ones are very spontaneous questions and spontaneous answers.
Yeah. I would back off of that, but I would also say just being able to do it with her. We've been through a lot together, so coming to Big Ten Media Day to kind of close out my senior year with Anna has been something special.
I'm looking forward to seeing some of the tiny mic stuff on social media. That stuff's always so funny. There's always a comment like, why is the mic so small? It's on purpose. Onto a little bit more hard hitting. Give us a bit of a preview for this season. We know you have a couple new transfers coming in, always some new faces in the gym. What is Iowa volleyball going to look like this season?
Yeah, I think that's one thing that's really exciting for us this year. We have a lot of new people, and so Iowa volleyball as a team and as faces is going to look very different, but at the heart of it, we're going to be the same. We're going to be a team that's going to go out there, work hard, give our best every game, and we know we're not going to win how everyone else wins, and we're going to find our own way to go out there and work hard and give every team the best we can and win differently.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a really gritty team who's not going to let a ball hit the floor without 5 people chasing after it. I think, like Anna said, we have our own way of winning. We're not going to be the tallest or maybe the fastest, but we're not going to let anything hit the floor, and we're going to play together.
What do you both love about playing for your head coach?
A lot of things. I think number one that always comes to the top of the list is how much Jim loves his players and loves the sport of volleyball. I think those are 2 things that just by having one conversation with him will be crystal clear to people, and I think they kind of go hand in hand. Like, he loves the sport of volleyball, which makes him a great student and teacher of the game as he continues through his career as a coach, but then that bleeds into how he treats his athletes and his players and the staff around him. Like, he loves us as people as well as athletes, and that impacts how he treats us, how he pushes us, and how we all work together in the gym.
Yeah, he just has so much joy that he brings on and off the court. A lot of dad jokes, to say the least. But like Anna said, he cares about us as human beings and wants to know how we're doing outside of what we're doing on the court or injury or anything like that. He wants to know about our personal life, what we're doing outside of the court, anything interesting that happened throughout the day. So I think that's really special.
Anna, Anna, he talked about you being the CEO and rebuilding your home. What has been some of the basic stuff that you guys have built this program on?
Yeah, I think 2 of the most foundational things we build this program on, it sounds easy when you say it, is love and trust. And I think I mentioned that before, Coach loves the sport and loves us, but that's something that we all have to embody too. And we think if we build those and start with those and have that not just with a few people, but with a whole team, when you bring 18 people together and they all are loving and trusting each other in the small moments or the silly moments, it's then easier to trust and love each other in those big moments, and then that builds to then grow those other big concepts and big things that you need in those moments, that when it gets tough, when it gets loud, when it gets difficult, to then be able to come together instead of pull apart.
Coach Barnes spoke very highly of both of you guys to Rick just a couple of minutes ago. Anna, he called you one of the hardest workers in the gym. You've been at Iowa now for a couple seasons. First season redshirted, and then now last season earned a starting role. What are you kind of looking to do in your 3rd season at Iowa?
Yeah, I think it's been a journey for me here at Iowa, and hearing a compliment like that is, I'm just grateful, but I'm looking to continue and exceed upon that vision that I came here to Iowa with. I came to Iowa 3 years ago with a vision and with a goal that Coach had put in my head, and that's for Iowa to become a successful program, and I want to continue that this year, and I want to do it in a way that we work hard, we work together, and we're going to go out there and we're going to leave everything on the court every game. And that's my goal this season, is that all 18 of us are giving everything we can, and I can leave the gym knowing that I gave everything I got and I made my teammates better.
Michelle, your coach talked about your volleyball IQ and you being one of the best servers in the game. What do you bring to your team?
I think I just bring a level of calmness on the court. I may not be the loudest cheer or the most vocal, but I feel like, in my personal opinion, some stability in the back row or in the front row, or when things are getting crazy, just a calm voice to kind of just get everybody's heads back focused. I feel like that would be something that I pride myself on bringing to the team.
And what's your favorite thing about being such a great server?
Whatchamacallit? I think it's fun because that's where it all starts, is with your serve. So I think if I can do my job, then I can make my teammates' jobs 10 times easier by getting them out of system and us getting an easier ball to then highlight everybody else on the team.
We love hearing about you guys as players. We love watching you on the court, but we definitely want to spend some time getting to know you as people as well. So can you give us a bit of a glimpse inside the Iowa volleyball gym? What is your team culture like? What do you guys do outside of the gym together as well?
Yeah, our gym is fun. It's very loud. I think anytime you walk in, probably 16 to almost all 18 of us are going to have a smile on our face at almost all times. We're loud. When we get together, it's a very loud group, and even the quietest of us kind of get a lot of noise and get boisterous together. Probably, I don't know, like most teams, but one of our favorite things is to eat. And so that's one of our favorite things to do together is go get meals, whether it's just to go get coffee together, get breakfast, get dinner. We are very constantly splitting meals or showing up to restaurants in Iowa City with 16, 14 of us, and they're willing to accommodate for all of us. But that's one of our favorite things, is just sit around a table together and talk and eat and enjoy each other's company.
Yeah, I would just retweet that. We are big eaters. and it's normally not planned either, which I think is kind of like what makes it even more special, because we generally just want to spend time with each other instead of, hey, on this night it's mandatory and everybody has to be there. It's kind of like after practice, hey, I'm craving this. Anybody want to come? And then more than half the team ends up coming half the time. So I think it's just like a family, and I think that's what we're just trying to keep building in our culture.
Do you have any team mottos or team pillars that you guys talk about?
Our pillars, love, trust, commitment, and sacrifice, all stands on a foundation of being all in. And then two goals that we had is just giving 100% of what you have like that day, regardless if it's an A, B, or C game, just giving everything that you have. And then just being grateful for being able to be in the gym and to be able to touch a volleyball. I think that's two things that we as a team like collectively decided that that's what we want to do this season.
There's a couple new schools joining the conference this year. Are any of them you're most excited to play against? Any venues you're most excited to play in? Tell me a little bit about when you found out those teams were coming in. Who do you look forward to playing against?
I'll be honest, I was really excited when we first heard they were joining of the prospect of going to Washington and Oregon. Sadly, we will not be attending those schools this year, but I'm just excited to play them. These teams are all really good at volleyball, and so they're going to bring a whole new level of competition to the Big Ten and going to bring a whole new challenge. I think volleyball is played slightly different between conferences, and you can kind of see in how just different teams play, and so I'm excited to see what they bring and what they bring from their experience in the Pac-12 into the Big Ten.
And what do you know from the West Coast? What's that style difference?
Oh, I don't know. I just feel like more speaking from like the Big Ten, I feel like the Big Ten is very big on like power hitters and specific outside power. And so I think like you can see that in other conferences, and a lot of that's just a big volleyball thing, but I think that's just like a lot of it is a little different in the Big Ten than you can see in other conferences, just with like the certain players and the caliber you get. So I'm just intrigued to see what they bring in that regard, not fully knowing what they have in general.
Previewing this season a little bit, what can Hawkeye fans expect to see when they come to an Iowa volleyball match this year?
I think just like a gritty team that's eager and excited to be out there. I think they'll definitely see some upsets this year. I'm not afraid to say it. It's going to happen with the people that we have in the gym and the culture we're bringing. I definitely think there's going to be upsets, and there's just going to be a lot of fun volleyball played with a lot of joy.
Yeah.
So.
I retweet everything she says. Our goal is to go out there every day and give the best we can, and the results will come with the hard work that's put in.
Absolutely. We can't wait to watch you guys this season. So excited. I just want first serve to happen right now. But thank you for joining us. I hope you've had so much fun at Big Ten Media Day. Thank you, Anna and Michelle.
Thank you for having us.